Hello, hey, it's Ryan Higgins. Wait, fuck, hold on, let me start over again. Hi, welcome to the Comic Experience episode 427. My name is Ryan Higgins. I was about to start recording this podcast, and then someone said something, and it threw me all off, and now we're here. Hi, my name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Thrower offer, Brock Sager.
Kevin.
And Fifth Life Bryce.
Fifth life, Bryce. Whoa.
Fifth life, baby. This is my fifth life.
Bryce is here. Bryce is this here, and then he's going to be on the podcast.
Oh, dear God, stop.
Sorry, just adding the echo from your last.
Is that what it sounded like?
No. It was mostly fine. Just at the very end,
I heard that there was
the back half. Yeah.
Some audio problems, which I blame you for.
Yeah,
I'm sure it wasn't my fault at all. But how weird was it that it was so sparse, considering I did the same recording the whole way through? And
it was perfectly fine in the first half of the recording, and in the back half, you're suddenly echoing. It's really bizarre.
Interesting.
You might have turned the mic, or
our audio was coming through your.
Yeah, you might have turned the mic somewhere, or something happened.
Speakers, so everybody got doubled up.
It's your fault.
Or JT came in, snuck in, and was doing something behind your back.
No. She, didn't Haley pop in?
I think Haley popped in, though.
But that was like the beginning. Anyway.
We're here to record a podcast with Bryce. We have lots of questions. Oh, I got to get a picture in up, too.
Bryce Larsen Quotes is ready.
He is. But before we get to some questions, we got some news to talk about. And, of course, we're going to start with...
China. Just kidding.
China.
Please do that.
What the F is that?
October.
Oh, yeah. No, we know what it is. Just move along.
Yeah. October 2019's Comic-Con sales charts. These are the top-selling comic books for the month of October 2019 to American comic book stores. And since the number one book was a Marvel comic and the unit share and dollar share went to Marvel, it's out the first immediate day it possibly can be released. This is a trend. Whenever it's Marvel on top, the sales chart comes out immediately. Whenever it's not, it's delayed at least a week. So I'm gonna continue to track this.
Wait, so I have a question. Your tweets earlier...
To confirm
Comic-Con has been tracking this.
Well, yeah, but they...
But your tweets earlier indicated that it, and maybe I just misread them, that it was delayed as far as I thought you tweeted, and therefore you thought that it must have been DC.
Yeah, no.
You were still trolling Marvel, but...
No, this
you did
this
it
is
off. You did it off an old thread.
Yeah. And the reason it was delayed last month was because Spawn 300 took the number one spot.
So you necroed that thread.
Yep. I'm going to continue replying to that thread, much like my Doomsday Clock thread. Kevin, did we talk about this last week?
Making everybody feel great.
Doomsday Clock
The
12.
colorist?
No, Doomsday Clock 12 and the final episode of Watchmen should be the same week. If the number count is correct, and assuming the schedule is on, it's all that Sunday prior to the release of Doomsday Clock 12.
That's 100% just a coincidence, though. Like,
is it, Bryce?
If it was the same week the comic released as the first episode of Watchmen, you'd have the same fucking crazy conspiracy theory.
So
I'm just saying.
You're telling us this.
So theoretically, if Doomsday Clock came out in December, it would be the same week as the last episode of Watchmen.
If it comes out December.
Oh, you don't think it will?
Yeah.
Well, for new listeners, we've had a bet going for a year at this point.
but for new listeners.
And I'll just say, no spoilers for Kevin or anyone, because none of you have watched Watchmen.
No, I really want to. Fucking love HBO, but I'm just the worst. But I'm the best.
Realizing this after watching this week's episode,
which is episode 4
of Watchmen, I'm just saying, maybe more to it than we think.
For new listeners,
let's move on to the sales charts.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a full Watchmen episode.
Okay.
So.
Let me watch the episodes. I really want to watch them. I just haven't yet. But I plan to. Unlike the CW shows where I say that I plan to and would love to, but will never.
We have some comics. For October 2019, I'm going with the Fused list. That is the list, of course, that takes the variant covers from different series and combines them into one list because DC has variant covers of different prices, and that causes the numbers to get taken out of their positioning. So we are looking at the top 10 skewed list. And there's a number of issues I actually want to mention going down the list past that. So we'll talk about a lot of books here. But October 2019, who wants to take guesses?
I have a guess.
What is it?
X-Men.
You're correct multiple times.
Woo, doggy!
House of X number 6 was a number 4 book at 158,000 copies. Power of X number 6 was a number 3 book at 160,000 copies. And X-Men number 1 was a number 1 book at 255,000 copies. That is a big, big seller.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
The sales charts were on time because Marvel's number 1, because Marvel's actually the best.
X-Men's, our X-Men sales for number 1 were outrageous. And 2, seems very strong as well.
Excellent.
Yeah. What else you guys got in the top 10?
Batman, perennial favorite.
No Batman.
What?
We'll talk about that in a few minutes. We'll talk about that later. Batman's been kind of out of the top 10 recently. Because the top 10 has been fucking on fire recently. There's been some big books.
So good problems to have.
Yeah.
For Mr. Higgins.
There is a Batman. There's kind of like 2 Batman like sort of related, or 3 Batman like related books
Deceased.
in the top 10. Deceased.
I was going to say that.
The fused list, Deceased. They wouldn't be in the top 10 if the variant covers were separated, but together they are. Number 6 is the number 10 book at 93,000, and number 5 is the number 7 book at 107,000.
Wait, this fused list, including the variants, is it including the variants in terms of price, like the amalgamated price, or the amalgamated numbers of despite the price?
So what happens is if every variant cover has the same cover price as the main book, the variants are all counted as one line. The problem is DC has started to do some cardstock covers that are $1 more.
So these are, I'm sorry, okay, cool. So these are units shipped, not, got it. Okay.
Right. So what happened with Deceased is the main book is $4.99 and the variants are $5.99. And so the normal chart pulls those out and has them as 2 different listings.
Do you remember the good old days when Marvel deigned to go up to like $3.99 and you and Brock had a shit party about it?
I've been saying for years.
That's a party where you throw a bunch of shit at Marvel, which is like every week.
2020 books go $4.99. Marvel and IDW will start this, so it's going to be soon next year.
What how do you feel about that? Can the industry take it?
Sure, it'll be fine. Yeah, it won't affect anything.
Ultimately, that's great for you if the industry can sustain it.
Yeah, it won't affect anything. No price increases ever affect.
Will you continue to shit on Marvel that they do it?
There is one book in the top 10 that is $3.99. Every other book in the top 10 is $4.99 or $5.99.
Oh, I would have guessed that there was more that were more because of some crazy anniversary books or whatever.
So we've guessed 5 of the 10.
In the top, like,
Kevin,
20...
trying to get us back on track.
No, there were 3 X-Men, 2 Deceased.
In the top 20, 5 books are $3.99. The rest are $4 or $5.99.
So they're all number 1s or some sort of milestone.
So $4.99 is coming for the standard very soon. We're just getting used to it, yes.
But there's a huge drop-off in, like, total number of units.
No. Comic sales, October was the strongest month in, I think, 3 years for comic sales, and we're equal and over like where we were last year. We're crushed October of last year, so we'll deal with some of that later. We got 10. We got number 9.
Is there a Spider-Man book on this list?
There's 2 Spider-Man books. There are 2 Spider-Man related books.
Oh.
Absolute Carnage is number 4, 99,000 copies. That's the number 7.
That was October? Of course it was.
It's the number 7 book.
Yeah.
And Amazing Mary Jane number 1 is the number 6 book at 116,000 copies. And I'm going to guess 100,000 of those are the Art Germ variant cover that's sitting right behind you, Kevin. So, to your left. Yes, there you go. Yeah, there it is. That is the Art Germ cover. So,
Art Germ.
Because I ordered like 10 copies of number 2, and I ordered like 100 copies of number 1, and I'm sure most stores did the same.
Okay, so we're down to 3 slots.
Yep. So we have number 8.
Spider-Man, no
Dan
Batman.
slots?
We have number 9.
Sorry.
We've used up X-Men, Spider-Man, and Batman.
So there is still there is a Batman-related book here. If you want it, I'll give it to you.
Is it like a Justice League, but because it's Justice League, it's Batman?
Joker Harleen book?
No.
Or
White Knight?
No.
Harleen?
No.
Killer Smile?
No.
What?
Detective?
You said Justice League. You're close. You said Joker. You're close.
Oh, the Joker villain.
Joker, you're the villain, number 1. 128,000 copies. It's the number 5 book.
The only really good issue.
So you're missing number 2 and number 8. Number 8's a number 1. It's a Marvel comic. It's $5. It's got an all black cover that I'm gonna call.
Okay.
I got this to happen.
Ghost Rider number 1.
Ghost Rider number 1.
I was okay. Yep, that's what I was going to say.
95,000 copies for the number 9 book, and I am going to lay claim that I made Ghost Rider number 1 the black cover happen, because when Marvel did this with the
They did it with
wow.
Absolute Carnage number 1. They did a red cover.
Yeah, they've done a few of these, and I emailed the rep at Marvel multiple times about this. Be like, make these regular books that we can get these in, and the all black cover. And now they're doing one for the Spider-Man symbiote book. It's an all black sketch cover, quote unquote. These things are fucking awesome, and I'm going to lay claim that I made that happen because they finally listened to me.
Well, I don't think anybody in the world would disagree with that. So, quick question. So, does it have the, for new listeners, just kidding, does it have the title as well, or is it pure black?
Yeah, look up, stand up and look on the wall right there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's fucking
how,
cool.
how, if you're an artist, you bring that to a con, you want them to sign it, do they have like a
silver
whiteout pen or, silver pen?
They
Got
did
it.
whiteout pens and silver pens. Yeah,
And they have whiteout pen. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, that's very, very cool.
It is. It's awesome.
For new con goers, artists do have multiple kinds of
For new
pens
con goers,
at their
that is a
tables.
real thing that we can
They can have
add.
their favorite color.
So the number 2 book is
That
the
could be
final
two.
book.
The number 2 book?
Number 2
Hasn't been guessed?
has not been guessed.
What company?
Is it from the big 2?
No.
Is it
like Spawn 301?
Spawn 301.
Really?
The record-breaking...
I would have assumed it would have been 300 was crazy and then 301 was back to normal.
Well, 301 had 18 covers.
What?
It was the record-breaking issue. It is now the longest-running American independent comic, like, single creator, like, owned book.
Did a bunch of other ones just end at 300?
So Cerebus is the big one, right? So Cerebus. See, the difference is Cerebus was written and drawn by Dave Sim. 300 issues.
Okay, I have a
straight.
noob question.
Yeah.
And I'm a terrible person for not
What
knowing.
is Cerebus?
What is Cerebus? And why is it not
it was
pronounced
actually in an
Cerberus?
Oh, here we go.
Is it
Cerebus started.
Wait, why do you keep saying Cerebus? Is it not Cerberus?
No, it's Cerebus.
Okay.
Cerebus started as
dear. What's happening?
a anthropomorphic Conan parody book,
Okay.
and became. I will leave this to Kevin. It became something very different as time went on.
Wait, what the fuck?
So I had a college
I haven't
girlfriend
even
who got me into Cerebus.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how I discovered it. I would have.
Wow.
Wait, this had 300 issues?
He wrote, drew, lettered, inked.
It's a one-man show. That
Single
whole book.
Nothing. So the only thing close to
And
this,
he just ended at 300, mic drop, left.
yeah. So the only thing close to this, one of my favorite comics of all time, is actually catching up very close to this. And so is Jim. Savage Dragon is getting close, but Knights of the Dinner Table, which is one of my favorite comics, that's getting very close. It's in the 250s, 260s somewhere. So maybe almost 270. So a couple years, it's going to pass Cerebus. Savage Dragon, again, every single issue written and drawn by Eric Larson. There's been little, I think maybe a little fill-in things here and there, but he's done, I think he's written every issue. Those both should pass Cerebus, and in theory, Spawn 301 is the longest running, but McFarlane's only done like a handful of issues, right? It's all different people have done it.
Yeah.
Whereas Cerebus, Spawn, or Cerebus, Savage Dragon, and Knights of the Dinner Table have all been done by one, basically one person.
Wait, who writes Knights of the Dinner Table?
His name is Jolly Blackburn, I believe is his name.
His first name is Jolly?
Yes.
Wow, I'm happy to hear that.
I'm gonna.
Wow.
I've read 300 issues of this book. I should know the guy's name.
Sorry, that was a terrible.
Almost 300 issues.
Almost 300 issues.
Okay, well, I knew of Knights of the Dinner Table, have not read it, but if it's going on that long, I'm sure it's great. That's crazy to hear that I've never. Well, it's not actually that crazy. I've never heard of Cerebus.
Jolly Randall Blackburn. Yep.
Yeah, Savage Dragon is awesome because it's written by Larsen. Because Larsen's the best. Although he's a dirty Norwegian Larsen rather than a Danish Larsen. Or he could be
Now, Ryan,
Swedish 'cause it's ON.
are you a Cerebus fan?
No, I tried. I'm not into it at all.
So they come out in these
Humongous,
books. There's
yeah.
like one called Jaka's Story, and there's one. They have these very specific. It's like one story. So this book that I'm holding, Good Radio,
They're like telephone books.
is like one story, and then another volume will be one story.
So K Sharp is holding this like basically
Mini phone book.
It is 500 page
mini phone book
Yeah.
remastered edition of Cerebus. Is that volume 1? Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, so how many issues would that include?
So I've only ever read them in book form like this, but you can look at.
Are these all different issues?
Yes.
Okay. Fucking hell, that's a lot. That's crazy. Cerebus, man. Okay.
And so as I,
he's like a pig man.
it's an aardvark.
Yeah.
It's like Conan.
Obviously, I was testing your knowledge of aardvarks.
And one of those things where when a person you are hot for recommends something, you're going to listen to it / watch it / read it / whatever.
Yeah, that's why I watch Gilmore Girls.
Anyway, that's how I got into Cerebus because my college girlfriend was hugely into Cerebus.
Yeah.
And she got me, and I was reading it. Honestly, I remember enjoying it, but this is going to be the most random thing maybe I've ever said on this show.
Oh,
Nothing
buckle
to do
up.
with her.
Buckle up.
The one memory I have of Cerebus is
dear.
the letters columns. Dave Sim did the letters columns.
Yeah, he's insane.
I didn't even know how you have this many hours in the day to do all of this book and answer every letter or the ones that you publish.
It's not colored, so.
Okay, yeah. So
Still.
that makes it. And all I remember is there was somehow in one of the letters an ABC News reporter who recently passed away named Cokie Roberts. So this is like
R.I.P.
she
Cokie.
passed away maybe a month ago when we're recording this. Okay, so this was obviously years and years ago when he's writing this, and somehow her name came up in this letters column of Cerebus, and all I remember is Dave Sim writing this reply saying, "I'd like to F her until her eyes turn blue." Her eyes are brown.
That is
And so
pretty wild.
That is my only Cerebus memory, and I'm ashamed to say I couldn't quote or cite any example of anything that happened in any issue of Cerebus except that letter.
Well,
Wow.
Dave Sim is a notorious misogynist and kind of not maybe a great guy. So
Alleged. Are we allowed to say that?
it's not alleged. Very, very. I mean, he's publicly and in his books put a lot of nasty shit through the years. So
Higgins to Dave Sim's legal team.
when
Come
you're
at me, bro.
In the middle of in the late 70s into the 80s, I don't know how much people realize of this, but when I kind of became aware of the book of the 90s, when I was reading comics, it was like this, so Cerebus is a long-running comic, and then stuff started to come out, and he gets real weird in the later letter columns, and yeah, did he publish a book of the letter columns?
Yeah, I
stuff
think there
too?
is one, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he still does work to this day. He still puts out comics, but
not Cerebus?
no, Cerebus pops up occasionally in some of the books, but yeah, but I
And
don't
is
know
it-
what his audience is.
So is it owned by Image?
No.
Or, sorry, published by...
No, he didn't issue. He did.
Wait, so
he didn't issue a
what-
Spawn.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cerebus pops up, but it's just because it's his creation. He gets to
Yeah.
pop up wherever he wants.
Yeah. In the '90s, Cerebus was in like every other book, like all the weird independent like
How have
mashup
I never
comics or something.
heard
Yeah,
of this pig. I mean, aardvark. Okay. That's crazy. That's very cool. I did TIL Cerebus.
I mean, you know Gold Digger. You ever heard of that?
I dated a couple of those.
Yo, that's another super long running independent American comic. I mean, very anime inspired, but yeah, I mean they're American. Femforce. That's still going. Still going. Every now and again, a new issue pops up. They're like maybe in the 200s or something. Like, yeah, there's a lot of these very long running.
It's pretty cool.
I mean, ElfQuest, if you combine the issues,
Love and Rockets, if you combine
Love
the
and Rockets,
issues.
yeah.
Come on, look at all these things, and yet we can't get a final issue to Battle Chasers.
Yeah, well, that would require Joe Mad to, I don't know,
Work.
do something. Yeah. Anyway, so that's for sales charts.
Fascinating.
Big month. Where was they? Oops, let me go back up. Where was here
Wow.
we go. Yeah, so plus
Thank God for Marvel. Such a good month for you.
Well-
Higgins is traveling to LA, jet setting around the world, and by world I mean country, and by country I mean state.
State, yeah. Up 10% versus same month previous year for units sold. Up 21% versus same month previous year on dollars sold. There's all comics sold by Diamond in dollars up 21% versus same month previous year. So that includes stuff under the top 300. So humongous month. October was huge, but comics are dying. So. Graphic novels still kind of suffering. There's been some drops in graphic novel sales as retailers, one, don't sell as many, and two, continue to source from outside Diamond. So the numbers are still good for graphic novels. They're fantastic, just outside of.
It could also be just the inconsistency.
Well, it's the book like Raina Telgemeyer's Guts that came out is not selling through Diamond. It's selling through other vendors.
It's selling through other vendors. Yeah.
Overall units for everything shipped in that month, for the month of October, Marvel was 45.2% of the market. DC was 32.2%. Image 7.18%.
Would you say spanked or?
This has been pretty regular. Marvel broke 50% a little while ago, which is a pretty major feat.
Yeah, Marvel's the best. Yeah.
Well, don't forget the Liefeld prediction that DC is circling the drain.
Well, Marvel's circling the drain now.
Oh,
that's what Liefeld said. The same thing about Marvel now. So he's just burning both bridges.
Okay.
Yeah.
When was this Liefeld said this?
Well, the DC one was a few months ago.
Yeah,
when he was saying like how many books they rely on Batman to carry the whole company.
What the fuck, Liefeld? I've been saying
he actually said Batman is California. It's really weird. It was like completely
Batman fucking is California.
Like he used that hashtag.
Batman is California. I started that.
I kind of thought I had seen that somewhere before, but then I'm like, I guess I just dreamed it sometime. So, it's a Liefeld original.
Some handsome dude said it.
Liefeld.
Items in the top 300. Wait a minute. Marvel is 115. DC is 102. So if you go back a while, DC was at like 50 or 60 books in the top 300 because they way cut their publishing output. That is up now. Of course,
in the top what 100? In
the top 300.
Okay, and what is Marvel?
115. But some of this is because of the double split in the ranking because of the
because they count
because they don't use the fuse.
Are you reading the fuse list or the unfused list?
No. The unfused this doesn't put that in the into place. The unfused list has 102 items on DC. Units in the top 300. Here we go. Marvel at 50.37%. So over 1 out of every 2 comics sold.
Yeah,
in the month of October.
Because Marvel's the fucking best.
50%.
Because Marvel is awesome.
And so you look at the
over hundreds of thousands of units shipped. The people have spoken, and they've spoken that Marvel is better than anything.
The independent numbers are down. I mean, Image is at 6% in the dollar. Marvel and DC split 80, almost 87% of comics are Marvel and DC dollar wise in the top 300. Image at under 6%. So yeah, it's
well, they lost.
And
Image at under 6.
And I've had. And they're usually higher
Are they the top third party?
Yeah. IDW, Dark Horse, Boom, Dynamite. Usually they follow. I've had some conversations with other retailers about this. Like, God, our sales on our independent and like the smaller run Marvel and DC books are fucking bad.
What's going on?
I think people they want to test drive. They buy number 1 and nobody buys number 2s for anything. So like, I may just stop even ordering shelf copies of anything but the biggest books that are outside of even within Marvel and DC. Like a lot of the small books, there's just no sales for number 2 and on. The big books sell fine, right? The big books do good. Saga. Oh, hey, we got a question about that later. The big independent books.
I already half answered it.
Yeah, the big independent books obviously are fine, but the small stuff. When I sell 5-6 copies of number 1, I'm selling 0 number 2s. When I sell 10, I'm selling 1 number 2. Like, why would I? I'm not even going to stock that at that point.
So, what are your orders on? I think you said this earlier, but what are your orders on Mary Jane number 2?
Oh, it was like 15 copies or 12 copies or something. Yeah, that's different though because we went in for the variants for number 1 because that stack will sit there and I'll sell one every now and again. And
okay, so 2 related questions. First off,
I think I'm down to like 8 copies now or something.
Does this incentivize people to stop being like hungry independent artists as much as, hey, cut your teeth at like DC or Marvel, and once you've made a name for yourself, it's quote unquote easy to go do a book at Image, which we've seen a lot of success.
That's usually how it happens. Yeah, they go from indie to Marvel to DC to Image and pop back out. But I mean, that's not always the case. I mean, Hickman, outside of the couple East to West a year, he was putting out nothing. He's put out more books at Marvel in 6 months than he put out an Image in probably 4 years.
By the way, what the fuck has happened with East West?
Yeah, exactly. It's on like fucking almost permanent hiatus at this point. There's like 1 or 2 issues of shout out randomly, and that's it.
But weren't they finishing it?
Sure.
Were they?
I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
That would be fucking nice. Jesus.
Image is like straight up to was it Beauty? I think they're like, no, we just canceled the last 2 issues. They shut that. We were talking about.
They canceled the last 2 issues of Beauty.
Yeah.
Jesus.
We were talking about Black Crown, right? Imprint from IDW, just up and they're like, nope, we're just done. A couple books recently have been like, nope, we're just canceling the book. We're not even gonna like. They publish issue 1 and they're like, no, we're out, we're done. We're not gonna publish the rest. Random independent books. Book Toby was reading. An Oni book that was supposed to be 12. It was 6 issues, and I think it was expanded to 12. And they're like, we're just ending it at 10. It's just like, what?
Did they finish the story?
No, I don't think so.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it just like ended with the issue that came out or whatever.
Wait, so okay, meta question, I guess. How is this? Okay, obviously the answer is how is it scalable? The answer is it's not. What can be done, Mr. Comic Book Store owner? Like, this is crazy.
I mean, I only order what I can sell, so people have to start ordering comics ongoing.
Right, but I feel like this has been the case for fucking like a decade. Like,
yeah, I feel like it's getting worse. I feel like it's getting worse that they're having to constantly reboot and constantly I mean, it's not Marvel and DC now. It's because Marvel and DC, they kind of have their reboot cycle kind of down. We kind of know what's going to happen now.
Yeah, which you've shat on forever, and it's actually working out.
The independent ones, the independent companies, I don't know where those readers are going. You talk about Cerebus, right? I've asked this. I've said, like, all those people in the 80s and 90s that were getting Grendel and Matt Wagner stuff, and they were getting the Spawn of Wildcats, and they were getting
Mage.
Sure, and they were getting all the I don't know what the hell, like first comic stuff, right? And those weren't selling like 2 copies; those were selling hundreds of copies, like per store, right? I mean, they were big sellers. Where those people go, right? Yeah. The people that were buying where
do they go?
Yeah, the early aughts that were buying all the Wildstorm, all the various indie, like the kind of the sexy image stuff. They're just gone, all right? So you have Oni, you have IDW, you have Boom, you have people publishing a bunch of kind of like quirky stuff, but they're selling like couple thousand copies at most. The trade sales can't be
Xenoscope
that good. Well, and they're off in their own world. So yeah, I don't know where these customers are. I don't know where they go. I mean, we sell a handful of a lot of it, but we sell very little of most of it.
Yeah, and you don't know. It's hard to know if those exact books that were so popular back then, if Grendel started today, the exact same Grendel, but
I'd sell 25 copies of one and like 4 copies of 2, and it would be canceled.
Or Mage, 10 or American Flag.
Yeah, no one would care. No one would read it.
Yeah.
So is that too many comics available? Is that there's too much like media options?
Yeah, sure. It's everything. Yeah. Well, right. I mean, we're on the eve of Disney Plus. We're all sitting here being like, gotta go and watch Mandalorian.
I already watched it.
But
okay, I was definitely not thinking that.
There's a lot of media. There's a lot of options.
You can enjoy.
There's a lot of people buying comics, speculating, collecting. A lot of people test drive. A lot of people check out one issue and then they're out.
Well, I mean, some creators just don't have the stamina to finish something.
This is money. A lot of it's the money. They don't have the money to finish it.
That is what blows my mind the most, is that there's so much margin for them with a successful image book. I guess is it just not worth the hours to put in and rolling the dice on it actually being successful and having the buyers be there?
So if you're like an image book and you're making like $1 and change per copy sold. Like if you're the creator, right? I mean, like the creative team is making like $1 changes. Yeah. So even if you're selling 10,000 copies, you're probably pulling in $10,000, right, between the creative team.
Yeah, and so if you do that on a fucking monthly basis, that like this is what I kind of don't understand is that like if they actually had a regular cadence
on top of it,
and people fucking by the way, movie rights because any movie studio will pick it up because they can't afford not to. Yeah. Like
they may just give you $50,000, but fuck that. For the movie company, that's nothing. For the creators, that's a ton of cash.
Yeah.
So,
but you spend a year doing that, and you're a young, hungry artist, and like you get out of your parents' basement, and that's all good.
But there's just, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, books. I think it's surviving a couple thousand sales. It seems like they can, but yeah, there's just a lot of stuff getting axed and a lot of stuff going to graphic novel only. And I have to assume the sales on those aren't great either, just because it's untested material, right? So, I don't know. It's weird. But, I mean, yeah, if we come down...
I wonder what the... I mean, it's too hard to tell, but, like... So, say forget, like, making money on the comics themselves at all. What is the risk-reward for, like, putting out some quality material and having it get picked up by a studio?
Well, here's a... Let's go to a book Kevin was talking about earlier, Safe Sex, number 2, all right? I just looked it up.
By the way, for the record, I'm a big fan of Safe Sex.
Number 1 was returnable.
Kevin is just like, God damn it.
So we could order as many copies as we want and return them, no questions asked. So obviously you think number 2 would have a big bump. And number 2 is the 273rd book at 8,400 copies. I mean, that's honestly
seems kind of good?
That's not
In terms of all comics?
Awful, but the number 3...
Is that not good?
The number 300 book is 6,700 copies. It's the Immortal Hulk Director's Cut, number 5.
Oh, classic Amadeus Cho.
But that's...
Oh, no, wait, Immortal, sorry.
Yeah,
never
it's
mind.
the current series.
Yep, not awesome.
But that
totally awesome.
number 3,000 spot used to be like 700 copies.
300?
Or the number 300 spot used to be like 1,000 copies.
Exactly.
1,200 copies.
Exactly.
So there's so much stuff selling so little per store, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you're down here, you're talking... Yeah, Ruby Falls number 1, fully returnable by Dark Horse, is the 303rd book at 6,500 copies. That's fully returnable, no questions asked from Dark Horse. That feels like that should be way higher, right? That's 2 copies. That's roughly 2 copies per store. 3 copies per store.
That is crazy, dude.
What are you gonna do?
But I mean, is it still profitable to like have your
I think so.
rights licensed by movies and TV?
Yeah. I mean that's the hope, and that's why everything's a miniseries, right? Your boy Mark Miller knows how it works.
He's not my boy. I just, he's got like a certain like pattern down, and respect to him for doing it, because if you could do minimal work and
which he does,
become a zillionaire because of it, like a lot of people would bite your hand off for that. I don't know specifics, but each of his artists on those books got like a solid $1 million a piece or something like that. Yeah,
on that Netflix deal, like crazy money.
And it'll probably be the same going, because he's not going to stop.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be the same going forward. And like, you're holier than thou, but there's a lot of people that like money, and like they'd be like, yeah, bite your hand off for $1 million.
Mark,
bite your hand off for $100,000.
Mark, I'm here. You want to co-write something? Let's bygones be bygones.
No, fuck that shit. First of all,
let's do it.
He's blocked this podcast like he's blocked Twitter. And second of all, he heard me on the intro and he's like, can't stand that guy.
You think he knows I exist? That's the charming part. So
before we leave this topic, and I know there's a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go down this avenue too far, because I'm sure there's a lot of meat on the bone, and we don't have to get to it today. When your prediction, and I'm saying when, your prediction comes true and $4.99 is a standard monthly comics price.
Wait, pause.
Okay.
That's not a fucking prediction. That's called inflation. Like,
inflation doesn't apply to entertainment products like it does to consumer goods, though.
What are you talking? Like, comics were $1.99, and then they were $2.99. They are currently $3.99. His prediction is that they're going to go to $4.99. Like, what do you mean? It's not a prediction. What?
Okay, his prediction is that that will be the standard monthly price.
Yeah.
So those things that you're calling out on the top sales, like Hawks and Pox, I bought every issue of that. Doomsday Clock is $4.99. I bought every issue of that. Those are limited series. X-Men, the new X-Men ongoing, I'm a trade reader now. Safe Sex is, we were talking before we started recording, is my favorite non-superhero book right now, since East of West is apparently...
Whatever.
Tits up.
I love Safe Sex, the comic price. If that was a $4.99 cover price, I'll wait for the trade.
No.
And if there may not ever be a trade.
But the trade might be $25.
Sure.
It's the same price.
But he's gambling on it not ever having to roll the dice on that ever coming out.
It's not that I'm gambling on that so much as...
I know.
What if there was a $10 version on Comixology, for example?
Of course.
Something like that. I just, as one, and I'm, obviously this is a sample size of one, I'm that test driver that you talk about. I buy a lot of Image number ones, and then I may go on to number 2 or just stop and say, hey, I watched the first episode, quote unquote.
Yeah.
At $4.99, those test drive days are over. Unless it's a team that I know... Or a comic that somebody has come to me and said, you must read this. And you say, well, what's the difference of $1?
I mean, this just never...
Wait, that's my question.
This will never end.
You would test drive at $3.99, but you won't test drive at $4.99?
Unless it's something that I really care about.
So, yes.
Because the problem with too many of these comics is I'm done reading it in under 10 minutes. And $4.99 for 10 minutes of entertainment is not a good ROI for me. Doomsday Clock is a meaty meal.
Bro, fucking comics are not... There's no ROI.
But when
we're not in this to like...
When you get 100-page giants for $1, we're not in those days anymore, right? I mean, just things get more expensive. They go
This
up.
is why this is my fifth life, is because I'm agreeing with Higgins. There's no ROI with like... the odd chance that you get something good and you keep it and you resell it for whatever, but otherwise there's no ROI.
That ROI is my cost to amount of enjoyment.
Right, but as Higgins is saying, like, they have fucking
but look,
dollar comics of great stories.
I understand.
Fair play, you've read all of them, but
listen, I'm not going to say let's all support the struggling Disney company, but when I can get a month of Disney Plus walking in off the street for $6.99 to watch a month of unlimited content, $4.99 for a standard size comic that I'm done reading in, let's be generous and say 15 minutes, those costs are not equivalent.
But the product's also not equivalent. So,
but I'm saying you're now dividing up people's money in a smaller and smaller pie pieces of entertainment budget.
Yeah.
And I think that the problem with the $4.99 standard model is you're going to have the top 20 comics, and then it's going to be a black hole because nobody's going to take...
But that's been comics since the last... I mean, this has been the same argument. Every price increase, the same things say. The top of the chart's always the top of the chart, and it's a black hole underneath it. That's been the way for 25 years now. Like, I don't think anything's going to change. I
think that publishers will be less willing to take a chance on something like Inferior 5. Say what you want about it. I don't think you see Inferior 5 at $4.99.
I think that's the only way you see Inferior 5 because they're going to sell the same 5,000 copies. They make an extra buck on it. All right. I really think there's been no time that a price increase has single-handedly affected comic sales. You have the speculator boom of the 90s that caused comic sales to go up and down, but comic sales are way better now than they were in the dregs of the 90s. Marvel sales were in the fucking toilet, right?
Even though Marvel's better, which is interesting.
And they weren't, maybe not then. You have these things go up and down for other reasons. Price is clearly a factor for some people, but it's not the sole factor that people get in and out of comics. So I mean, the price, the cost is probably a major factor for a lot of people, but it doesn't. A price increase does not seem to affect the sales. We've gone from $1 to $1.25 to $1.50 to $1.99.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That your bold prediction of the price going up is a fucking non-event.
It's not the prediction. It's the time. I said 2020 because I looked at when the price increases have happened more.
Oh, okay. So your prediction is that it's like I said calendar year 2020.
2020 feels like when Marvel goes $4.99.
I see.
It might not be across the board, but I think a number of titles you'll see jump to $4.99. But this $3.99 might be the hold that line for 20 years, right? We're 10 years into $3.99 already. You guys don't realize this. I don't know if you think about it.
I'm not.
But it was like 2009, 2010 when Marvel bumped those first set of books up.
What was the hold the line at $2.99?
That was
2020.
That was just pre-Rebirth.
Okay.
How did that go?
Or just pre-New 52. It's when they had the $3.99 books. It
was in direct response to Marvel bumping up their costs.
Yeah. So DC went $3.99 on a number of their books, but they added the extra pages, and then they did the hold the line at $2.99, and then New 52 happened. Image IDW was
listener
$3.99.
Translation. Marvel's better. DC's a joke.
IDW I think has been $3.99 since they started, so they've been the same price for 20 years now, right? So we've had $3.99 books for a very long time. I think when you see 15 of the top 20 books are $4.99 and $5.99, that's the companies testing that market. Can we get people to buy this? The quality's good. Okay. And you're going to start to see a few books start to slip up there. So.
Interesting. So I totally disagree, even though I see where you're coming from, with the Disney model. Because I see what you're saying about how I get a month of Disney Plus content for the same price as a single comic. But I've always likened it to...
And Disney Plus is like a total loss leader for Disney. Right?
Exactly. So
okay,
first of all...
pick DC Universe then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was going to say, first of all, loss leader. Second of all, I was going to say I've always likened it to coffee. People get their daily Starbucks, and it's $4.99 a day, and they're done with it in 15 minutes. Yeah. And they
15 minutes?
Don't... Okay, hyperbolically.
It's like a Tom King book when I'm in Starbucks. It's like flip, sip, done. 30 seconds later, I'm out.
Tom King, though. Fuck that shit. Like, that guy is... He's got, like, some of the most...
It's as bad. It's as CAD, and then the book's over. It's fine.
Exactly. Tons of great art that he didn't draw. No.
I love Tom King too. I don't know why. I don't want to sound like I'm making fun of him.
No. We're both not. We're both.
I'm parodying the people that don't like him.
I think that we both love him, and yeah, just acknowledging the fact that sometimes his writing. Less is more sometimes, which is a lesson I've never learned. So what I'm saying is that a lot of people will the comics, like so much of the comics universe, it seems to me, is survived on that whole coffee mentality of like, it's okay to buy a latte every day, or it's okay to buy X number of $4.99 comic books, even though I'm done with them that quick, because that's part of my routine. Yep. And to Higgins' point earlier about the 5,000 people that buy that one random comic book, it's like they're not going to stop.
So here's I see where you guys are coming from, and we went way further down this than I meant to.
Let's keep going.
I see where you guys are coming from.
Kevin, we always do that.
But let me just. Here's my concern: is not for the people sitting at this table.
Oh, thank God! I was worried you were worried about me.
I am apparently the old-fashioned. I'm the person hanging onto the last scrap of the Titanic in the ocean. Where are the new readers? See, the thing used to be, Julie Schwartz has this quote from the Silver Age where our readership, once a boy, because it was predominantly boys, discovers girls, cars, and rock and roll, he's done with comics. So our readership turns over every, let's say, 7 years.
Well, that's bullshit, because I discovered all of them and I still have comics.
Okay, yes, but I'm saying we're the... My concern is
we're in the minority. I've never been called a minority.
I want the industry to keep thriving with new blood coming in. And when people's entertainment budget is taken up by video games, Netflix, this, and you're asking for a commitment of $5 for one issue.
But dude, this is an argument of print media versus what we're facing in the rest of the world.
And it's also an argument of Batman versus Raina Telgemeier, right? That is your new audience. Batman versus all ages graphic novels going to Scholastic, other non-Marvel DC superhero books. Raina Telgemeier is the #1 comic book creator in America. She does books for Scholastic.
I'll get a couple so you can see them.
The most recent one, Guts, was the #1 book on Amazon. Not comic book on Amazon. All right.
What the fuck?
Sells millions and millions of copies. Dogman. He's got to know Dogman, right?
Oh, my son loves Dogman.
Yeah.
Do I now hate Dogman?
I forget the.
What a bitch.
I forget the writer's name.
That's. I'm allowed to say that, right?
I mean, I think
Dogman. Dogman. Never mind.
Dogman might outsell the Telgemeier stuff. I don't remember, but there's millions and millions of copies, right?
You sold out again.
So they are both extraordinarily popular, and that is. We have more kids reading comics now than we have probably in 30 years, right?
My son fucking loves Dogman.
Yeah, will these translate to them coming and buying Marvel and DC stuff in 20 years when they're adults? I don't know, right? But there are kids reading comics. It's just they're reading that. The superhero movies and the TV shows are getting adults into the Marvel DC books, right?
This is so fascinating. So also, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, definitely not the DC Cinematic Universe, has gotten a ton of kids into the Marvel Universe.
Oh, of course.
But, okay, so honest question, other than trolling DC, because DC is the worst. Raina Telgemeier?
Yeah.
How is DC or Marvel...
She was right in front of us at Comic-Con, too, at the Eisner's.
I remember that,
yeah.
This is a she?
Yeah.
How is she not... Okay, thank you very much. How has she not been given some crazy exclusive deal? Bring your platform under the Marvel or DC umbrella. We'll pay you an ass ton of money to get your kids into our pipeline.
I mean, I assume they have, and she's like, why?
Because we'll pay you a fucking shit ass.
Not as much as she's making at Scholastic. Yeah. Marvel's not paying her millions of dollars. DC's not going to pay her millions of dollars.
Why not? It's another loss leader. Marvel's owned by Disney.
Disney doesn't
J.K. Rowling, come write a Harry Potter comic.
Yeah, and that will never happen.
Well, I'm going to repeat what I said to you before we started recording with the N.K. Jemisin thing.
Yeah.
Hugely popular sci-fi author with a rabid fan base.
Yep.
She wrote the Broken Earth trilogy, is probably her most famous books, but that's not it.
Classic. Okay. For new listeners.
Yeah, for new listeners. And I was at an event where she was doing a presentation this weekend with a rabid number of fans who I talked to at this thing in the audience, and I said, are you guys excited about the Far Sector, the comic that she's doing, which starts today or tomorrow?
Crickets.
Nobody even It wasn't that they weren't excited. They had no idea that it even existed.
Yep.
Huh?
And these are her rabid fans.
There's been a number of like Kevin Smith comes over. His comics sell okay to comic book people. They don't sell to regular people. There's been a number of novelists that have come over and done comics, and it's just like nobody cares, right?
I want those people to care is what I'm saying.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, right? I mean, again, a very famous writer, journalist. Nobody. I mean,
Black Panther didn't sell well?
Black Panther and Cap sell what Black Panther and Cap sell, regardless of who's writing it, right?
Interesting.
So yeah, the comic books are for comic book people, and that's super cool. That's fine, and we'll get random people.
Okay, but what about but going back to this Dogman Reina Telemundo? Just kidding. I'm sorry, that's totally inappropriate. Tell us something.
Telgemeier.
Telgemeier, thank you.
I believe that's correct.
Okay, that's like already a comic format.
Yeah.
So would that be much different?
Well,
wouldn't that be? I see what you're saying about like authors coming to comics and vice versa.
Yeah, there are original graphic novels that go through Scholastic, and Scholastic is set up right. I mean, those aren't selling the comic. I mean, they do sell the comic stores, but that sells on Amazon. That sells to
it's at book fairs at your kids'
book
schools.
fairs, right?
No,
That's
I fucking bought Dogman without knowing the author.
Yeah,
just because my son is like fucking loves Dogman.
Yeah.
Same with Captain Underpants. I don't even know who writes that, but like he loves it, and I bought it. So okay, but those people never say never, but they will never need to join, even though they're I mean, that counts as a graphic novel, right?
Yeah, they're comic book writers. Yeah, sure.
So, but they will never come underneath the Marvel DC bandwagon because it's not worth either side's time to.
Well, and like I said, Marvel has a deal now with Scholastic for their people to do original Marvel graphic novels for their audience. Marvel is not doing that. Scholastic is going to do it. DC did Ink and Zoom, and now it's just DC Kids. They're Warner Brothers has shockingly a way better book
pipeline.
Yeah, sure, than Disney. Disney outsources their stuff to other companies and lets them deal with it. Warner Brothers does it all in house. So DC Kids they've put out 6 or so original graphic novels, 6 or 8 already.
They did the Super Sons. The Project Super Sons.
I don't need the whole list. I'm just saying they've done like 6 or 8 of them so far, and those are going to the same.
The young ones or the teen ones?
But both of them, and those are going to the book fairs. Those are going to the same thing. I don't know how they're selling. We don't get numbers. Maybe we will when BookScan comes around at the end of the year. But I have to assume they're doing well because I have a shitload more of them coming. Right? They must be selling well enough. But yeah, there's no these people would never come to Marvel and DC. Marvel, it's a little bit like manga. Like when manga people do American comics, it's because they want to, not because they have to. Because manga outsells American comics 1,000 to 1, right?
But I thought that was because of the disposability of manga, and it's all black and white. And
I mean, I don't even know if you look at like the numbers now. Bleach. One Piece and Naruto, I mean, those were selling millions of copies per volume across 30, 40 volumes, right? I mean, no American not even Walking Dead sells a fraction of that across every volume, right?
That is so crazy.
Yeah, it's just very different. But this isn't like, I'm not saying like comics are dying. Like, no, this is just the way comics have always been. It's a small medium. It is. It always has been.
Oh, I'm trying to get around the fact that this new person that I've just learned about tonight, including the Dogman and Captain Underpants and all that, like how there's not a better, I guess, I don't know, path to comics, since they're literally reading comics, how there's not a better path to comics from that. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I'm only a brilliant, handsome man. What else can I do?
We can move on. The last thing I'll say is by bringing that up.
Dave Pilkey, it's the same guy. Dogman and Captain Underpants, same guy.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Not surprised at all, I guess. Well,
I want comics to thrive.
Yeah.
Beyond just kids at book fairs and middle-aged men and Wednesday shoppers. I want other blood to come in, new blood, new readers to pick up actual comics.
Me too.
I'm looking for a better pipeline from these. These are comics. This Dogman and Captain Underpants. They are comics. Get somehow a better pipeline. I don't know how to do it.
Right.
Into actual comics, because I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, So, okay, I can only speak from my own experience, and it's a bunch of white people. I live in a bubble. But, like, yeah, they're, like, these non-comic people that have no idea how into comics I am are talking about how they get their kids into these Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. And on top of that, they're separately reading these Dogman comics.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, your kid would probably fucking be a great possible candidate for being a comic fan.
But this is what I've said forever. If we get 0.001% of the people that watch a movie to walk into a comic book store, that would revolutionize the industry overnight, right? I mean,
sure.
Yeah. So we get what we get out of it. And this is always the way smaller industries are going to be, right? I mean, there's only certain people will go. How many people go to concerts versus listen to bands, right? I mean, just such a small percentage of people will go to see those concerts. How many people do go on like international tours and see these things? Very small. How many people like I did that? You were talking about my trip to LA, right? I mean, there was like 80 people there for that, right? For that like VIP thing, right? It's a super small audience. There's only a certain amount of people are going to do this type of thing, right? How many people are going to go
for Bauhaus?
For the VIP thing, yeah. If you go see a movie, how many people are going to go read the book that the movie was based on? 1 in 10,000, maybe.
Sure, but
right?
I mean, keep doing that. And, that's going to get numbers going.
Yeah, when you watch
them to stick around.
Yeah, when you watch a TV show, how many people are going to follow?
I think it also goes into what's the environment people are walking into. Walking into a bookstore is kind of a general environment versus walking into a comic book store. It's kind of a distinct environment.
Well, and they're also not walking into a bookstore. They're walking onto Amazon and buying something on there. So, yeah.
True that.
Yeah, I mean, when people come into the store, they're like, this place is so cool. There's so many neat things, right? I'm going to go buy this on Amazon. I mean, that's a common – I mean, they don't say that, but that's a common occurrence for, the casuals, right? Civilians when they come into comic stores. Well, whatever. I mean, some people buy stuff.
Wait, that's interesting because, like, they can't do that with any of your wall books, obviously. And
I mean, it's a little overwhelming, I think. If you're
no, but I mean, they don't have the option for wall books.
Well, with books like the reason Walking Dead was so successful is because you had one book to read, right? Dogman and Captain Underpants, things like that, and Raina Telgemeier stuff. There's literally one thing to read, right?
Raina Telgemeier.
Raina Telgemeier.
I'll get it. I'll get it.
I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Raina. I can't believe I
imagine trying to explain House of X and Powers of 10 versus X-Men versus Fallen Angel and X-Force and how the reading order is and what all these variant covers are. I mean, we understand it, right? But it's
is there already a crossover?
Really, do you understand the reading order, or do you look in the back of the book every time?
I mean, as long as I
ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies.
You look in the back of the book.
As long as I put in my reading order, it's fine. But yeah, no, it's a very different industry than most people.
Well, it's like
are used to.
Batman. Where do I start?
Yeah,
There's it's like. These are good stories.
Yeah.
Okay, so cutting through all the bullshit, what is the actual answer? Because you are obviously doing it just fine. It's not like this. The baby boomers are all going to die and your store's going to go out of business because you have no new customers. You must have some new customers. Where are they coming from?
Yeah, we get customers all the time.
Right. Where are the new ones coming from? You must
30-year-olds
talk to some of them because some of them like DC.
30-year-olds with disposable income that want to relive their childhood that liked. And now it's like, oh yeah, sure. I got into late '90s animated series stuff.
Do you buy the '90s X-Men #1?
My favorite cartoon was
X-Men animated series. Come on,
SpongeBob SquarePants.
X-Men Evolution. That was my first animated cartoon.
Do you get a lot of that?
I mean, we're going to.
Do you get a lot of mid-20s new customers?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
And
high schoolers, teenagers, absolutely.
What's it from? It's got to be from something.
I mean, I'm assuming a lot of it just comes from the movies and video games. It's just general nerd culture stuff. They just want to check stuff out, right?
Every single origin that we've talked about on this show has been either they got a box of comics from a relative, or
from a friend,
or they saw an animated TV show, or a friend was playing the video game, or they went and saw Batman in the movie theater.
Yeah, I mean, my backstory for comics absolutely comes from the TV shows and the '89 Batman movie and from the animated series and stuff. And that's how I first became aware of this stuff. Because even then, late '80s, early '90s, comics weren't everywhere, right?
I like how you're like, everybody's origin is,
But
and then you list every possible option, and it's like,
Pretty much
well,
everything.
yeah, it's going to be one of them.
Yeah, Bryce, every origin has either been an alien from another planet, parents gunned down in an alley, bitten by a radioactive spider,
you're literally a
Canada
person,
bomb.
You know there's not that many stories. They're all pretty much the same.
No, I get what he was saying. Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah.
I thought we don't have more news.
More news.
Well, that was an hour. So let's
Yeah.
It's a Bryce episode.
The night is young. Is that what you're saying?
we got
Is
lots.
he popping another beer?
We got lots of questions.
Sure.
Lots of questions for Bryce. Let's get through some of these. On Patreon, Verum Libertas has the first question. How many of the new X-Men books make it past issue 12? And how many of them will you stick with?
How many? Oh, for me?
Well, then it's for all of us.
Okay, then you can go. Well, I'll go. How many are there total? Remind me. Six?
So
Six so
far.
far.
10,
Okay,
10
of
soon.
the 6,
11.
how many make it past issue 12? I will say 4 of them. And how many will I keep?
I actually think all of these will go through at least 12.
By the way,
12.
I'm a fucking mail order dude, and I haven't read X-Men #1 yet because it's in the mail. Allegedly, it's in Portland, and I'm not in Portland. How many will I keep up with? 100% of them. I will continue to put good money after bad and keep funding. I mean, dude, I have to read some of these, but like the art just looks like it's. I love, as I said last time I was on.
How's Excalibur, Kevin?
I love the idea of Hickman being the behind-the-scenes puppeteer or puppet master. Sorry, same thing. Is it the same thing?
Pull the strings.
Puppeteer is somebody who plays with puppets. Puppet master is somebody who
plays
play with the puppeteer.
puppets. Thanks, Brock. Okay, so I would say that it is. I love the idea of the showrunner behind the scenes. But yeah, some of this art looks so rough, and I'm not sure if I continue to support floppies or if I become a trade person. I'll buy them either way, just to support the X-Men brand. But yeah, I don't know. Hoxpox was really fucking good.
Never unsubscribe.
Come on. Will you please
Higgins and I are blood brothers with the never unsubscribe.
Will
hashtag.
you please read Major X?
have you
We
read
need
it?
a Bryce briefly review
hold on,
of Major
hold
X.
on. I have to say, you asked me last time 2
Yeah,
weeks ago
yeah.
whether or not my poll list was over under 30 issues. The reason it is over, there's a lot of reasons, but
That B mount, man.
Old man, well, gotta get that. Still haven't got that. Fuck that second B. That first B was like a pain in the ass, and then the second B is like, oh yeah, 3 times as much. Fuck that shit.
That's where I am.
So anyway, so I was going to say something very intelligent and colloquial because that's my style.
You were going to
But I
pledge
was
to
gonna
read
say-
Major X and do
Oh,
a Bryce
yeah.
briefly review.
So I have I keep up with a lot of stuff that's like quote unquote current, but then I have like Old Man Hawkeye, which is like a dozen issues, if not 20. Old Man Quill.
Really?
I have
Why?
Death of Wolverine.
That's still going?
And so like those chunks
Death
of books.
Wolverine. That's from like 5 years ago.
No, what's the no Dead Man?
Oh, Dead Man Logan.
Dead Man Logan. That's what I have. And so like I have like big chunks of like
Just-
a mini series that's 12 issues long, but if you have 3 of them, all of a sudden you're over 30 issues, and so my pull list is like I'm caught up. Well, not totally caught up on Batman, but I'm almost caught up on Batman, Avengers, X-Men, like not all the current stuff, but a lot of the current stuff I'm caught up on. But yeah, fucking. I'm excited. I still haven't finished Old Man Logan, the end of Old Man Logan, which is like over a year ago. I'll get there, motherfucker.
You haven't finished your son's
Stop judging me.
book?
But I think
Bryson? Wait. What did Bryson do? I finished X-Force. Fucking X-Force
he's doing
was
Ghost Rider now.
fucking woof on X-Force, dude.
The current, before the new one.
Correct.
Yeah.
God damn, that was. I felt like I was swallowing a pine cone. That was
trash.
like.
But Marvel's the best.
Imagine swallowing a pine cone. That was reading the X-Force book. That was killing me.
Where's Charlie?
Did he like it?
I don't know.
It was not good.
Verum also says,
Spoiler alert: Charlie liked it.
says Undiscovered Country was unique. Not sure I'm fully on board yet. Hit or miss. So I like number 1. I if I have a complaint, I think they info dumped a lot of stuff in that first issue.
It should have been a thicker issue.
Well, it should have. I mean, I'm not a writer, but I think had they maybe had some of the background of these characters come out slowly through the series instead of info dumping so much in the first issue. But I understand they have to get a lot of people caught up to speed. There's a lot of characters. I like the idea. I really want to see where they go with it, because the whole idea of like America being this weird like nightmare petri dish of monsters,
Mad
and
Max,
crazy shit.
Stuff.
Yeah, I do, I do like that. So I want to see where they go. Jimmy Rivera says Watchmen is the Watchmen sequel series I never knew I needed or wanted. No spoilers.
Kevin just shoved his fingers in.
From the cast to the writing,
for those of you not
Trent
watching.
Reznor's soundtrack has been awesome, and the soundtrack is fucking awesome too. Does a project like this give you hope for more Alan Moore adaptations to piss off Alan Moore? A V for Vendetta series, an Authority series? Well, Authority wasn't Alan Moore. What seemingly unadaptable comic series would you like to be adapted by the wizards of HBO and their massive wallets? What could they do? I mean, V wouldn't. We had the movie,
Are we
but
sticking
I don't.
just to Alan Moore? Or?
Well,
No, he said what seemingly unadaptable. I would say the Invisibles.
yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love sticking with Alan Moore, I would love a Leaving Extraordinary Gentleman TV show. I think that could be really well done.
It should be just like the movie, but longer.
Yeah, no. Please, God, no. The movie, man, that movie was...
And that was Sean Connery's last movie.
Yeah.
Of all the things.
Yeah.
Wait, that was Sean Carter's last one?
Yeah, he retired.
after
Wow.
that.
I probably would too. He's like, I'm too old for this shit. I gotta get out of here.
I'm too old for this shit.
Authority would be fantastic if they did Authority. That's Warren Ellis. So Authority Planetary would be
Planetary would be incredible.
Yeah,
Bryce,
really
what
tough.
seemingly unadaptable comic series would you like to see adapted as to a TV show?
East of West. Easy. HBO, East of West.
Yeah, that would be good.
I would love to see anything Morrison or Hickman. Well, Morrison kind of with Watchmen a little bit, even though it's not Watchmen, but it is, but it isn't. Yeah, I love the world that they made with East of West, and it's still going on, or is it? But yeah, that could be a high production value, crazy world. I love the idea of just these giant worlds these guys have created.
Yeah.
Supreme.
That East of West show would be like a Game of Thrones meets Westworld.
Yeah, it would. And
DNA blend.
so it would be shows are more easily green lit. It seems to me. You obviously know more than me, and none of us really know that much at all. But if you can get away with a show that has a bunch of backdrop CGI, that's way cheaper and more affordable than a bunch of special effects up front, where you have to do some crazy CGI in the foreground. So if you have a bunch of crazy world settings, that'll be more easily greenlit because it's just more affordable. Which East of West has a ton of different what the fuck world are we in background stuff, and it wouldn't be as much as it is just drama and politicking and stuff in the foreground. Saga would be pretty aggressive. It would be great, but
yeah, I don't want to say unadaptable. I think Saga is actually totally built for having a live action version of it. Not that it's not a deep story, but it feels like the characters are relatable and interesting enough that people would attach themselves to. Something East to West. I only read the early parts of it, so I didn't keep going with it. But that's pretty obtuse series. I think it'd be hard to get people into.
But I would trust somebody like HBO to do some meandering series that you watch 12 episodes and you're like, what just happened? The first seasons of Game of Thrones and I feel Sopranos, where there's not the substances too few and far between, but you watch a lot of episodes and you're like, did anything happen just now? But when you watch it as a whole, it's this beautiful tapestry.
I think the problem, not that I think Authority would be difficult to adapt, but I think the problem with doing Authority now is people are just going to be like, oh, you're just ripping off the boys, right? Because it's it'd be the same tone, very similar in style.
Just no hamsters and toilet paper rolls.
Joe Duff says, I've always thought Solomon Grundy was a fascinating character, but never felt he was fully given his own due. Am I missing some good runs with him, or I just love the concept but not the actual villain? Any good Grundy runs?
Oh,
Have there been any Grundy runs?
No, but he had a great antagonist. There was the fucking Tim Sale. I don't know.
Oh yeah, what was that book?
Long Halloween.
Was he?
Was it Long Halloween? I thought that he had a longer piece in one of the Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb books. I could have sworn
like the Ghosts or one of those. Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I know Grundy from. In his most
he is absolutely one of my favorite villains that is just in the background of shots.
Well,
it doesn't say hell yeah all the time.
Challenge of the Super Friends is probably where he became famous to the public. He's
Yeah.
really used well in the Justice miniseries, the Alex Ross series. But as far as
he's like a JSA villain, original JSA. I mean, he's from the 30s or early 40s. I don't remember what his first appearance was, but very early.
He was a Green Lantern villain.
Back
in the, and then they brought him back in the Silver Age against I think
Justice League, right?
No, in
or
Brave and the Bold against Dr. Fate and Hourman.
Oh yeah. Is that where he comes back?
I think that's his first return in the Silver Age.
That's a great issue. Christopher says, "Hey Ryan, do you think they'll release the Snyder Cut for Christmas?" Hey. He says, all kidding aside. I do have a question for you. I have a very good friend at work, and he's admitted that his only exposure to comics is occasionally reading as a kid. I want to give him a good introduction to our world, but not sure where to start. I was considering the classics,
East of West.
Watchmen, Killing Joke.
Just kidding.
Or even Pride of Baghdad.
No, what? I would recommend none of those.
V for Vendetta, or maybe Why the Last Man. What suggestion do you have for me to loan a 50-year-old guy to convince him that comics aren't just for kids? It can be very cerebral.
Okay.
Thanks again to making all my 45-minute commute to work more pleasant, Christopher.
Well, this episode will get you to work and home and then back to work the next day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Christopher. Or I'm sorry, not sorry. Okay, yeah, I misunderstood. Okay, so you need to get a more mature gentleman.
Why is an interesting choice?
I think Why's good. Yeah.
Speaking of great shows, how about sort of answering both questions at the same time? Why is a great choice? Why would be a very easily adaptable TV show? Although didn't they kind of do it already? Wasn't there a Last Man?
It got axed, but they started it back up again, so it's going to be a show.
But it's not based on Why Last Man, or is it?
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Nothing's out.
No, I meant the show that's already out. I don't mean to deviate from the question too much.
Thinking that comedy show? No, it's not related to it.
No, I know it's not related. I'm saying it was bullshit because they basically they now can't have Why the Last Man because they just had this show.
They will. It's coming. They had some shots. Right?
Is it HBO? What?
It was FX,
I think. Yeah.
Well, I hope it comes out, and I hope they do a good job. Anyway, okay.
Well, that fits in the model of what you were talking about. You won't need hardly any special effects except the monkey.
Exactly. Exactly. And by the way, you wouldn't even need that much special effects with the monkey.
They have the monkey from Friends is going to be on it.
Oh my God.
So to answer the question,
I don't think that's a lie either. I'm pretty sure that's actually right.
Day Tripper.
I like Day Tripper. That's a good one. Yep. Good standalone.
That's just a standalone.
It's hard to know if the guy likes superheroes or if he wants something that's not that.
Okay, so we should give a dual answer.
So I said why. Brock says Day Tripper. Those are both non-superhero.
The Sheriff of Babylon as well.
I agree with Watchmen. I mean, if you need to convince them that it's for...
Well, if they're watching the show on HBO, be like, you need to probably read this first.
Vision.
Yeah. Yeah, there was very little superheroics.
Yeah.
Criminal.
Ed Brubaker.
Yeah.
Sean Phillips.
I'm just trying to think of things where you don't need a lot of back knowledge to be able to get
lot of Image Brubaker.
Yeah. And we mentioned Saga earlier, obviously. If you think he's into Star Wars or kind of space science fiction stuff.
If he likes history, you could do Manifest Destiny.
That's almost over too, right?
No, they went on hiatus
a long time,
and they finished 6 issues because they were like, "We're going to come back and give you 6 issues." I don't think they've said they're done, but I think they're doing it spaced out.
Okay,
but that's the Lewis and Clark expedition. But they come across zombie vegetation and these magical type creatures, weird stuff.
Yeah.
In their trek across the United States.
And I mean, there's tons of... I mean, we were talking about Rusty Brown before the podcast, and we talked about it last week. I mean, there's tons of things like that are way more cerebral and highbrow that are kind of out of my wheelhouse. I'm definitely a little more into the sci-fi, fantasy, superhero end of comics. But,
walking down the middle row.
But there's lots of...
Did they do a comic worthy of the storytelling for American Gods?
It's a straight adaptation.
Yeah,
it's not. It's
Was it worthy of the actual story or nah?
I mean, it.
You didn't read it?
I haven't read the novel either. I haven't read a lot of Gaiman's novels.
That was the silenced version of my head exploding.
Okay. You could also take Gaiman out of there and just say I haven't read a lot of novels, and that also works.
We could also throw
but
in,
because of Gaiman, I would have thought that maybe it would have made the short list.
A lot I haven't.
Depending on the friend's taste, Umbrella Academy.
Boys.
Because
great call. Great call.
I think if they're watching
when does season 2 come out, by the way?
I don't know.
Boys or Umbrella Academy?
Umbrella Academy. I don't know what boys are.
I think there's
You haven't watched The Boys on Amazon?
The Boys on Amazon.
The Boys.
It's a long story. I've started it and I haven't finished it, but
because you have to watch it late at night.
not
when there's
family
no kids
friendly.
around.
yeah, that's exactly correct. That's exactly correct. And all the time that is the time, the old lady is like, "You want to watch Colbert and go to sleep?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds good. Sleep is good. Colbert is good." But anyway, yeah. So when she gets her hall pass and she goes out with the girls, I get to watch The Boys. But then I have to go farm my bee mount. So it's a nasty cycle.
Tyler Willits.
Oh, Tyler, love Tyler.
Very happy to hear Bryce is back on this episode.
Woo, me too, Tyler.
I miss him. He says.
Oh, Tyler.
Oh.
In my continuing of the FF Burn run, I came across Namor and thought about how weird it is that he can fly. It seems like a random ability to have. Those little wings on his feet. What powers do you find very weird or out of place on some characters?
I'll tell you a weird power of mine is that I do not have any tattoos. Will never get any tattoos. But the closest I ever got to getting a tattoo...
Was booze involved?
No, was wings on my ankles. Because... I'm legitimately a very fast
You're telling
dude.
us you love the Flash?
And
you want to be Namor?
And a little bit Namor, who's fast, a little bit Flash, who's also fast, but a little bit actually why am I brain farting on his name? The actual Greek god?
Hermes,
who actually was the first dude with wings on his ankles. I'm not sure if that's actually canon or what the deal is there. But anyway,
Jay Garrick, the hat.
No, never wore the frisbee hat with the wings on. But yeah, so a little insight into Bryce Larson's non-tattoo culture. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I never understood why Namor had wings on his feet and could fly. It's kind of weird.
That is very weird.
It's best not to think about some of these things. I had a moment, I want to say it was maybe age 12, catching up on the X-Men. I had the moment, and then I put it out of my head for Tyler's. This will be my answer to Tyler's question of wait a minute. So they're mutants. So somebody's born with the ability to turn their skin into steel. Yeah. What possible?
No, only after they hit puberty. Don't be racist.
What somebody's eyes shoot lasers? What would be the genetic combination that would have to happen for that to occur?
It's literally called the X Factor.
Yes.
Bro.
That's what I'm saying. It's best to just put it out of your head.
Oh yeah, then yes, yeah. Easy.
There's that guy in New Mutants that has no mouth.
Oh, Penance?
No.
Wait, that's literally
the one he has to cover his mouth.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chamber. Sorry, Chamber.
What the? Okay.
Wait, that answer is right
Chamber.
though.
I know, but the power. I'm like,
why does he have
it? What is it? What's the point?
You fucking are just a de-slobbering DC fan, and some dude in Marvel doesn't have a mouth, and that's weird to you? What? What's wrong with that being a mutant?
He's no bouncing boy.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that your answer, Ryan?
No, bouncing boy's amazing. No, he's asking what power is weird on some characters. So I would think Namor, everything about Namor could be exactly the same. He doesn't have to have those wings. He could just fly, and people would be fine with it.
Until Hawks and Pox, I would have said gold balls. Because that is a totally unnecessary power. But then fucking Jonathan Hickman comes around, and now he's one of the 5 most important mutants in the world. Let's see here.
Yeah,
there's a lot. During the 90s, there was a lot in the X universe. One dude just made swords, and it was that seems very forced. Why are you just making swords? That seems very 90s, needs to make more swords. Like a mutant that makes pouches. Why are you making more pouches?
Well, we got 2 more on Patreon, and then we'll do a couple on Twitter before we get out of here. Zach Johnson says, "Do you openly tell people you read comics? Do you feel there's still a stigma about reading them?" No, I mean, I talk to people pretty regularly. The response is always, "That's fucking awesome," like regardless of who I tell.
Okay, but you're the fucking okay. Really? Is that the silence in the room should betray the shock at that answer that the
totally
comic book owner tells people he reads comics?
I don't
their
go out in the
reply to
street.
you is that that's awesome.
That was
I don't
the question.
like
Not
what
in
the
your
fuck kind of
environment.
No, I don't go out in the
Outside
street.
your environment.
Yes.
Do you tell people I read comics?
I'm not
You go
surprised
up
that
to the barista at
I don't-
Starbucks and go, I will read comics.
No, if I'm having a conversation with a random person, like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm in a comic book store."
There you go. That's the difference.
That's the difference.
It's different than reading.
Yeah.
But it's the same.
No, it's not.
Do you read comics in a public place that's not this store?
I don't go to public places that's not this store
Except Starbucks.
or my house. Yeah, well, it's a drive-through, so that's fine. Or just do the mobile pickup. I'm not there long enough. So.
Yeah.
He calls his food ahead all the time.
Hell yeah. Why not?
I need to
fucking
fucking call
greatest.
some food to get it here for dinner.
BJ's, man. No?
What? Where's BJ's?
Like 2 blocks from here.
I'm.
He said next time we're here, we had to go.
You're coming out?
You're
Are we
coming
going?
out? If you're going?
Yes.
Let us know.
Oh, my God.
All right.
Wait, no.
Just so everyone knows, Toby's here.
We
and,
had this
apparently-
conversation last time.
Yes.
I was
And Ryan committed to it last
was talking
time.
to Kevin
Yeah, but
about
it wouldn't
this.
be the first time that he.
Yeah,
fucking
you
copped
did commit all the time.
Exactly.
Well, now,
okay.
but now
All
he's
right.
outed himself
And
on the
you
air.
were very forgetful.
I'm trying to stay awake.
Okay, no Uber Eats for me. Let's do this, baby.
Boom.
I will answer your question enthusiastically. I
next
will
question.
tell anybody that it comes up with, which is literally nobody.
Yeah.
But if it ever comes up,
But
I'll tell
saying,
them.
saying I own a store or
Yeah, but that's very different from I'm reading comics.
Yeah, it's a tough question
Look at
because
me, I'm
nobody's
cool.
like, hey, so do you read comics? Like,
You tell people you read comics, they kind of look at you sideways. Like, they tilt their head and go, huh?
also, my experience is weird because I'm in a total suburban bubble now that people haven't even heard of comics now.
A conductor on the train recently stopped. I was reading a comic on the seat. He walked past, saw me, stopped halfway up the row and came back. And he goes, "Wow, I never see anybody reading comics on this train. Are you on this train every day? How have I never noticed this?"
that's cool.
That's pretty cool.
I was,
Yeah, my favorite part is even being. I'm sorry, were you going?
I'll go for it.
I was just going to say very quickly, which is not true at all, that
We know.
my favorite part is even in my total suburban bubble that I'm now in, is just seeing how many people have comic shirts that they wear, and it's like, yeah. You know it.
Yeah.
Like, you're into it. Like, you're
my
wearing
shirts
this, like,
get
semi-ironically, and all the elementary school people or, like, whatever, have no idea, except for me. I know, motherfucker. I know, motherfucker.
Walk up to him, "Hail Hydra," and you just walk away.
No.
And,
But, I've got a great Halloween story for you later.
In college, when I didn't know anybody, I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to bring my book with me and read it at school. And I remember a girl tapped on me and she was like, "You read
Ooh.
comics?" Well, no, she was...
Tapped on you.
No.
Wish that happened
Anyways,
more.
she was like, "You read that?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "In public?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "I would never do that." I'm like, "All right, I guess.
That's, yeah.
I'm going to put it back."
Oh, that story ended differently than
Yeah, I was hoping that had a better
Yeah,
ending.
me
Nope.
too.
No.
I think it's different these days. Craig Anderson wants
That was
to
not
know-
that long ago.
Craig P. Anderson wants to
It
know.
was long.
Who?
Craig Anderson,
I
if
don't
you
know this
could
guy.
keep one creative team working at their peak on one comic forever, who is the team and what is the comic? I would go with Wolfman and Perez on Teen Titans.
Yeah,
says
I would
Craig.
go with Claremont Byrne. Like, that's not...
on X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not that tough. Craig, I expected more from your question.
Wait, I want to know Ryan's.
No, he read off.
Yeah, Craig's was the Wolfman Perez.
Oh. I thought
no,
that Higgins
man.
was talking. That, by the way, that could have been Higgins' answer. Let's
That's
be
tough.
real.
No,
I've-
I'm thinking.
No,
I mean,
he would
I'm
do Sam
thinking
Morrison
Jeff
quietly.
Johns.
It's more. It's
Well,
more, yeah.
I have like 4 answers, right?
John-
Depending on like my
Flash.
what era,
I'm
right?
going to go Jeff Johns on Flash.
For me or you?
No,
For
creative.
you.
Oh,
The creative team, though, that's only one half the. Or
I even haven't
one.
read it yet because someone sold their hardcovers before I could complete all 3.
they're publishing them.
Huh?
They're republishing at least the first volume.
Yeah, in different size.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. I have to start over. This guy laughs because he's going to get more money from me. He's like,
I mean, like old school Ryan.
Buy it again.
Old school Ryan says Nicieza and Bagley on New Warriors, right?
Oh, that would
Goth
be
Ryan
great.
says Neil Gaiman on Sandman. Neil Gaiman and creative team on Sandman because it changes so often, right?
various.
Pre-New 52 Ryan says Jeff Johns and Ivan Reis on Green Lantern.
Was it Reese, not Rice?
Reis.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Not Ethan Van Sciver though. Not Ethan Van Sciver though. He can take a pass. I mean, I would kill for like an ongoing Tom King, Mitch Gerrard's like New Gods.
Would you though?
Mr. Miracle.
Yeah.
That'd be incredible.
Okay.
I
kind of think that like
Go
the
kill.
whole
I want to see if this will happen.
No, I kind of think that the mystique of that whole like Tom King, like Mitch Gerard's, I kind of think that like the whole thing is the mystique around it is the fact that it's so limited.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Like, how long would you want it to go?
forever.
Craig's premise
people.
was you take the team at the height of their powers.
Yeah.
So it's not like they'd be aging
Right.
as it went. So
yeah.
I will.
Okay, that's a great point, which also disqualifies Tom King and Mitch Gerard's because they're in the middle of it, I think.
It's over. I mean, it's done. But
But like...
You think it
that's
gets
why I was
even
trying
better.
to think of older. That's why I was trying to
That's
think
what
of
I'm saying.
older.
So I'm going to go
They're
with.
not done yet.
Exactly. I'm saying that...
I think
If Ryan said 4 answers, I'm going to give 2. Frank Miller and Klaus Janson on Daredevil.
Sure.
Oh, it's such a good answer.
Or Danny O'Neill, Neil Adams, Dick Giordano, Batman or Detective.
Yeah. The heck?
I mean, that's fine, but it's not as good as your first answer. I mean, the height of their powers. Yeah, Frank Miller, man. That's a good shout because that dude went off the rails so quick, but he was so good. He was like a candle in the wind.
What?
The fuck is that?
Wasn't he?
Thing
about
on
here that
TV?
was on
I don't know.
TV.
I'm not sure.
Oh.
I don't know.
Frank
dinosaur
Miller.
It's some weird anime.
His candle burned out long before
what are you
Is-
doing?
is-
Stop.
Daredevil ever did.
Is this what you
Our
were watching
listeners'
when you
ears
were
are
in golf
bleeding.
stage?
Well,
Maybe.
there's one listener
Like,
who's
what the
enjoying
fuck?
I don't know what this
Tyler?
is.
Is this some drug?
Is it you or me? Or?
it.
Is this
BLQ.
some drug shit?
Oh, okay.
Do you like do drugs and watch this?
It's just some guy
What is
conducting
this
an
thing?
orchestra. I have no idea what this
Yeah,
is.
but in a minute it's going to be like Dinosaur Bones
Yeah,
cartoon.
Everything the listeners are hearing now is based on
yes.
the TVs.
There's a xylophone?
Next question.
It's a xylophone. A
Xylophone.
xylophone. What the fuck is a xylophone?
The ding 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 thing.
Oh my god! It's a what?
Now it's Daffy Duck. Like, what the fuck is happening?
This is some Daffy and Bugs.
No, I swear to God, this is some kind of drug doing thing where you watch. Look, what the fuck is happening? It's totally a drug
It's some
thing.
Daffy and
Dude.
Bugs. Like,
This is a drug thing.
Okay,
You do drugs and you watch this. Just be honest.
I mean, not me. I'm sure someone did.
No, you be honest. This is some drug cartoon.
They appeared to be in a
What?
funhouse mirror.
Yeah.
That is some crazy drug
This
shit.
is some probably half an hour special they did back in the 70s. I'm sure. I don't know what this is.
Okay,
drugs
can
makes
we
more
talk about
sense.
how Frank Miller at the height of his powers is a great answer because the height of his power was such a short window?
But what about 1970s Neil Adams Batman? That's a short window.
Yeah.
Well-
That's like less than 20 issues.
Oh, okay, fucking that's before my time though. So I
Because
don't
I'm-
remember how short a window that was.
Because I'm staring at it right here, can I get an ongoing Crisis on Infinite Earths book by Perez?
Oh,
and,
Perez. That art,
by
Perez.
by Wolfman and Perez.
Like 84, 85, Perez was a god walking the earth.
Yeah, Marvel's better than DC, but that's pretty good. That's
Question from Cross X Hunter. He says, "Yo, where the fuck is Saga?" Bryce had a reply for that.
I already had a reply for that,
Yeah,
and
good
I
luck.
stand by that reply.
Wait, that
Remember
didn't
when-
finish?
Remember when they said a year?
Yeah, so does
They said a year and a half.
wait? So
okay.
they
Pretty
did.
sure they said a
I thought
year
they
at
said-
first.
No, they said a year and a half.
Oh, I
Should we-
thought
you want to make a bet on this? I say it's back in 2020.
December 18th.
I'm going with 2020.
How much do they have left? Have they?
They're half done.
Are you saying
half
2021?
done?
Yeah, they're doing 100 issues supposedly.
108.
Oh, no. That'd be,
Yeah.
what, 25?
104.
That'd be 2025.
No, I mean when it starts again.
Oh, I thought when it finishes.
No,
I
it
would
will be
love-
back on the shelf in 2020.
I would love to say that, but
You don't think so?
Are they
I can see
renumbering
that.
it?
He's too prolific to
No,
not.
they're just going. They're
What else
just
is he going to
resuming
do?
with
What
the
else
next
is Brian K. Vaughan going to
doing
do?
Hollywood shit. He's
Runaways.
producing Y. He's doing Runaways. He's doing
No,
all
but he's
sorts of-
always-
Actually, he's not producing
doing-
Runaways.
he's
No,
doing
he's
his-
always done Hollywood shit,
He's
though,
doing-
and he's always been super prolific comics-wise.
Wait, why is it
Yeah.
still happening?
Yeah, there's a new it got repicked up, and they're doing. He has a deal with Legendary. Is that correct? Is it Legendary?
Legendary
Right
still
for
around?
original stuff, right? So yeah, after they got out of Warner Brothers, they're their own company now, and so yeah, I mean, I would love to say sure it's going to be back in the next 12 months, but I would not hold my breath. I think that is.
He's okay. Unlike a fucking ton of indie creators, he's okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm probably wrong, but I'm never wrong. He's probably going to finish because he's always finished.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah.
Well,
How many so prolific indie writers have consistently finished their shit? He's on the short list. Fair.
I mean, he has a perfect run until he doesn't, right? And I
but
worry about Saga. Fiona Staples, man, I don't think she's in a position to do enough work to keep that book coming out regularly. They're going to take a long hiatus if they want to get 8 issues a year. Even 6 or 8 issues a year. It's going to be a long.
Yeah, I was going to say 8.
Dirty
They
by
only
the time
ever
it finishes.
did maximum 8 per year.
I think because they had the break in between. No, early on, wasn't it monthly? Early on,
monthly
yeah.
early on, yeah.
Then they
No,
started,
but
then
very-
they started
no.
building in the hiatus.
Yes,
the short-
very quickly
yeah.
they built in the we're going to do 8 issues a year,
Yeah.
which became regular, and they were very consistent. And they've had a fucking shit ton of issues come out. He's prolific, and she's like, for an artist equally prolific. So
Yeah.
I think 2020.
Next question.
they
We
keep
got some
going.
drinks to order.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, let's go. I'm hungry, and I'm going to order my food at BJ's.
From Steven, he says, did I read this wrong? I swore that Alfred was going to be alive at the end of City of Bane. What's this about Pennyworth R.I.P.? Sorry, babies. Alfred's dead.
Did you get to
he
that
died
issue?
issues ago.
Did he?
Spoiler.
They've
That is a spoiler because I'm not caught up, but I read the first issue, which is of course
Well,
great.
Here's what happens. They kill Alfred and Batman, and everyone's like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. And now months have passed, and people are like, wait, that was real? Oh, fuck. That actually happened. Okay.
Can we do that in real life?
We're having
that actually happened. Oh, I was supposed to pay my bill.
People seem to be
Didn't
real.
think about it. That was real.
When that issue came out, it was like silence. Like, people were like, yeah, whatever. Okay, sure. Like nobody. I don't think people believed it. I don't think I believed it. I was like, okay, whatever. It's Clayface.
Yeah, you didn't.
Whatever. But no, this is like straight up like I mean, of course.
Wait, but the image he attaches to this tweet is him saying that Alfred is safe, which you should probably tell the listeners because that's bad radio.
Yeah, I don't know.
So for the
Maybe they're
listeners,
gonna-
and especially for new listeners, which I love,
Maybe
is
they're
that-
going to pull a Nightwing, and that he's going to be killed, quote unquote, and he'll become Alfred Grayson and go off and join Spiral and
Al Grayson.
Al Grayson. There you go, and go join
Well,
Spiral.
actually, you're all wrong. It's Clayface that got killed. And he's
No, but
not
you gotta
actually
change the
dead.
name like a little bit too much, so he's going to be Birdie Grayson.
First of all, from this picture,
or Birdie Pennyworth.
now that I've seen this picture, Alfred signals he's safe. I'm sending Damian. Right, Bane kills Alfred after Damian goes in. This takes place before.
Yeah, this is before.
That he kills
Oh.
Alfred because.
Thanks for clarifying the spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Since I'm like,
I was about to say you knew that he died. At least you would still be surprised about what the circumstances were until that last sentence.
it's my own fault. And by the way, so I'm only one issue into the City of Bane, which is incredible, but it was confusing as fuck. It was like a Hickman level, like what the fuck book.
Yeah.
But I'll get through it. Yeah, it's been incredible.
selling
Quick
those
question:
77s.
when does the transition? Because they're going to change it into Batman Catwoman soon-ish? Question mark.
His last issue is 85, I believe. Batman Catwoman is going to be delayed a little bit. Clay Mann's going to do the entire run.
And that's going to be the last 15 issues of Tom King's run?
Like 12 issues, yeah.
So my
yeah.
question is, like, as soon as Batman issue 86 or whatever comes out next March or whatever, whenever it is. Oh, no, wait. 15?
January. It's soon.
January.
Yeah, it's really soon. Yeah.
Okay, so will Alfred just be back and it'll be like, haha, that was funny.
I mean, they're soliciting a Batman or a Pennyworth RIP one-shot that's like hey, people,
that doesn't.
The world finds out that Alfred's dead. Yeah, I mean, he could be alive at the very end of it, and off on a secret mission or whatever. Right? I have no clue.
So not having that's my question. Is not having kept up on Batman as much.
Yeah.
That's going to be reversed. Like you thought Wolverine's death would be reversed, and then he was actually dead for 5 years.
Every appearance,
even though they had 7 other Wolverines.
Alfred's been in 14 books since he's died, and every single one of them takes place before Batman 77.
Really?
Yeah, every single one, including. I mean, I'm talking about books from last week, but it's just he's in Detective, but this takes place before.
But then you read the annual 4.
Yeah,
and he's back.
No, it's you're reading his journal.
It's from Enzo. He says, with the revelation, and this is actually a really big, it's a big spoiler from an issue that just came out, the Nightwing annual. With the revelation that the Court of Owls has been pulling all the strings since Nightwing was shot, does this change how you feel about the whole Rick Grayson storyline? And Enzo, let me tell you, because I just read the annual actually on Sunday, kinda. It actually kinda does. It's still not great. But at least they found a Jeff Johnsian way to turn it around and actually have it make some sense, because it was bad prior to that. Now it's okay, it's all bullshit. There is an out. He's going to return as Dick Grayson, and he's going to return as Nightwing. Thank you. That's all I needed to know. Now I'm fine. They can go with this for as long as
Has there been a tremendous pushback to the whole Rick Grayson thing?
It's terrible. The book was just bad.
Okay, wait.
Straight
question.
Bad.
If if there was a good author or good writer on Rick Grayson and they were trying to make it into a Rick Grayson thing, would it have been more palatable for you? Would it have been more palatable than whatever Toby's doing to his mic right now?
Well, yes. Toby was breathing heavily into his mic.
Stop, dude.
I don't mind. Would you want him to change characters and do weird stuff like Rick Grayson? That's okay. I mean, we know this is temporary.
Okay,
right?
so for new listeners
a better writer probably would have made it more interesting, because it was bad.
I thought the idea was that DC was just trying to not so subtly segue away from the whole Dick thing.
But no, maybe, but no, I don't think so. It's
a good writer never would have gone down the Rick Grayson
you don't need to.
path.
Again, I've said this before on the podcast. The idea is okay. The plot is okay. The execution has been poor. This annual at least gives me hope that they fucking figured it out. This should have been the thing they told us in the third issue, not a year later. Right?
How are sales on Nightwing now?
I mean, they've been terrible since. I mean, I don't know sales charts, but our sales have been fucking flat. Only the hardest of the hardcore. Me and Toby and a few other people.
You don't fucking buy your own comics. Get the fuck out of here.
He pays for them all.
No.
But everything in this store. What are you talking about?
He pays for them all. He just takes them afterwards.
Oh, okay. So you include your purchases of X-Men comics in that? You're the biggest X-Men buyer between the two of us?
Yeah, I am.
Pretty much. He buys every issue.
Hundreds of copies of them.
Touche. That's more than me.
Bryce, you wanted to answer this. This is from Peter Blanco. He says, if you could pick any current... Also, I have to go through this list for Twitter questions because Bryce replied to every single Twitter question.
Hey, it's a... What is the expression? It's a rainy day in your asshole? What?
What? If you could pick any current Marvel character to make a
That's
90s...
definitely not the expression, but I feel like there's some appropriate expression for when something is super rare, and in this case,
And you went with raining in your asshole?
No, it's a rainy day in your asshole. That's now the new phrase.
If you could make
it should be.
A 90s
that is rare.
style...
It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
If you could make a 90s style animated series, who would you pick and what song would you plagiarize for the theme song?
Oh, man. I don't know. It would probably be William Shatner's Do You Want to Live Like Common People? And it would involve Cable, who's anything but
So you're going to have
common.
a cover of William Shatner's cover of
Yes.
Pulp's Common People?
Exactly.
Okay.
But the cover where he covers it with Ben Folds 5.
Right.
And it would be of Cable's exploits. And it would be, you want to sleep with common people. You want to sleep with common people like me? Have you heard this cover?
Yes.
Okay. If you haven't, stop it. Pause the podcast. Yes.
You know.
Yep. Pause the podcast. Go listen to both the original, but more importantly, William Shatner's cover of Common People with Ben Folds 5. It is originally by Pulp. And then put it to any of your favorite characters. In this case, I did it with Cable because I'm the number one Cable fan. Is anybody else here named Charlie and or a bigger Cable fan? Nope. I hear silence. Okay, I guess that I'm the number one Cable fan.
I heard him. I heard him. He said no.
And you know who's?
Wait, are we all getting group text right now?
And so you know who is not a common person is Cable. And so the irony, the palpable irony of Cable's theme song being just about common people like me. Anyway, yeah. So that's my answer.
Okay.
Cable's the best. You should go listen to this Common People cover. It is fucking glorious.
Sounds good.
Anybody else have something?
Yep. Getting back to my replies.
Ring your asshole. I don't even know what that is.
Is it raining in your asshole?
This is
yeah,
another
it
one.
is because he criticized a DC book.
This is another one. Bryce
Must be wet.
Bryce wanted to answer from
geez.
Joshua. Here's a non-comic book question. What album would you say is the most important album
Oh, yeah.
from your childhood?
Oh.
So, for
musically?
me,
Yeah.
this will surprise very few people, is that I grew up in the 90s, and,
Pearl Jam 10.
no, it was all the surf punk. So, like, NoFX, Goldfinger, Less Than Jay, that whole genre. To this day, I listen to NoFX and Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. Went and saw Fat Mike during the fires. Was it a year or two ago? They had to reschedule their concert, and it was up in the fucking East Bay somewhere, and it was terrible weather conditions. But not exciting. But like, choose any pop punk, surf punk, whatever. That was my quintessential album. I would say Punk and Drublic if I had to choose one.
Brock? Got one?
No, not particularly. I mean, my music taste is so eclectic, so it's like I've always been listening to random stuff.
Special shout out, since Brock's not being helpful, is the first Wu-Tang record, because I mean that was great. It's a little harder for.
Did you watch the show?
Oh
It's
no,
quite good.
but that just came out, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Now you can binge it because all the
is that on
episodes
HBO?
It's on Hulu.
Oh, well, then I will never see it because I dropped Hulu because you got to cut something.
No, you.
Whoa! Hold on. The rain is
Never unsubscribe
continuing
from anything.
because earlier in this show, or I don't even know if it was in the show. It seems like we've been going for 3 hours. Earlier tonight,
Challenge
you said,
accepted.
"I am with Higgins on this. Once you subscribe, you never unsubscribe."
Okay, that's hyperbole.
Hey,
Higgins has himself unsubscribed to all Marvel comics and doesn't. He buys them all, air quotes,
Bryce.
but he doesn't fucking keep any of them. He sells them to his friends and
Bryce.
compatriots and customers who are not friends.
Bryce, you unsubscribe because Disney Plus is doing a bundle.
What?
What?
What did you just ask?
There's no bundle with Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN.
Oh,
is
Yeah,
one of the
it's a
choices.
bundle. That's why he unsubscribed.
By the way,
I'm trying
Nope.
to help you.
I
speaking
appreciate
of
it,
length,
but the thing is, speaking of length,
now.
it's my turn. Appropriate / inappropriate or hashtag. Wow. Okay. Okay. So yeah, don't. I unsubscribed to Hulu because. You know, for every 20 things that you don't use that you're still subscribed to, there's going to be one thing that you do unsubscribe to. And Higgins is in the same boat. He's just being a hypocritical motherfucker. Hashtag, like always, Higgins. Hashtag, DC is not as good as Marvel. Hashtag, Batman is California.
When I was younger, the first album I was ever given, the first album I ever owned was Talking Heads Stop Making Sense, live album, one of my favorite albums of all time.
Not David Hasselhoff?
No. The first album I ever bought myself was Fifth No More is the Real Thing. So
I remember
my
the
favorite
first
albums of all
album I ever
time.
bought.
So those are two very, very important records for me.
Thank you for actually having an answer.
Yeah. Toby?
First album I ever bought on
range?
CD was Green Day Dookie.
Oh,
Big one.
great
That
shout.
was a good, yeah. And before that, it was cassette tapes of Queen, Roxette, and Michael Jackson.
You and Roxette. You love Roxette.
Roxette was the biggest thing of all time.
Roxette, why don't you put on the red light? I know that's not right. Before we
Yeah, I
get
was
emails
like,
and
what?
tweets. Before we get emails and tweets.
I think the same thing. Kevin?
I was lucky. I had an older neighbor who would give me a lot of his records. I don't know if he was upgrading to CDs, but so I was getting a lot of cassettes and records. And
cassettes were huge with me, man.
Yeah. So it was like, sure, I'll take them.
Shit when
so
I
I'll say one of the. It's funny now, maybe, but one of the ones that I really was like, oh, I think I'm just going to call this my favorite album of all time was Pyromania by Def Leppard.
I was going to mention Def Leppard as well. It was the Adrenalize one that I had.
Yeah, that's a later one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, you go to camp and another kid gives you a cassette tape, and then that becomes your holy grave for a while because you don't have access to other music like you do today.
Holy grave.
Holy Grail for a while.
I'm just kidding.
So, Ryan, I was going to tell you, I was speaking with another podcaster over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. He speaks with other podcasters.
No. And he was asking about this show, and I said...
You don't listen to it.
No. All I said was, so first I have to stop and remember, does this show have the S, or does the store have the S?
Oh.
The store has the S.
Yes.
The podcast
okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you can look it up. It's on iTunes, blah, blah. And so he does it on his phone while we're standing there.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa. I'm paraphrasing the
What's
reaction.
The whoa for?
I'll tell you. He's like, whoa, you guys, this most recent episode, you guys went really long. It's like an hour 45. Wow. He goes, was that some kind of a special anniversary episode or something like that?
How long do normal people go?
Like an hour?
Yeah.
Fucking lamos.
No.
Rookies. Shit. We do an hour, no problem, even without the Bryce.
I said, just don't look up the Endgame episode.
Yeah.
That was our longest one, right?
The Star Wars. There was a Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh, that was a weird one, though. You had like a circle jerk going on that one.
That was
like everybody.
That was a rainy day.
Why wasn't I invited to that one?
Yeah, no, he did. He had like everybody telling their Star Wars origin. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? We all like Star Wars here. Let's talk about the movie. But they were like, when I was 7 years old, me and my dad went to theater and fucking Star Wars shit. It's true.
The visual for those who can't see it, which is nobody not at this table, was when Toby was just saying that. Not only the voice was great. But your head was bobbing back and forth.
Yeah, but the thing was, you had 8 fucking people around the table. They all said the same story.
Shifts. It was like shift 4.
Yeah. And those 8 went off, and you had like another 8 go, when I was 8 years old, I went to the movies and watched this fucking movie that changed me life.
That was the point of the podcast.
With the fucking light of lightsaber.
We're all the co-hosts of Pirate Irishman.
It changed me life. That star. Arr.
So Steven on Twitter asks, aside from Detective Comics and Action Comics, what was the last time each of you bought a new comic from Marvel or DC tonight that had a triple-digit issue number and temporary switching to legacy and anniversary numbers don't count?
Triple-digit.
So what would have been the last, except for Action Detective?
Savage Dragon.
Does the variant cover for
Marvel or DC?
For Batman?
Marvel or DC?
No, both. Either.
I'm pretty sure the Black Cat book I just bought had a 1 number on it.
So multiple books pre-New 52, right?
Yeah.
Most of the books pre-New 52 were triple.
I'm thinking of like
Superman's
Morrison's Batman issues.
Yeah.
Wait, that Adam Hughes Superman cover with the Batman and the Wonder Woman on it. That has no triple digit on it.
Not counting Action Detective because they went back to their legacy numbering. I mean, it just would have been something pre-New 52.
Yeah.
I don't did from Marvel.
Flash was at 2 something.
Walking Dead.
No,
from
Marvel
the big
DC.
2. From the big 2.
What was the last? But Uncanny had
So my answer for X-Men, and correct me if, or I'm sorry, Marvel, X-Men, Marvel, synonymous because X-Men's the best, would be...
Where's your X-Men tattoo?
War of Realms, the Journey into Mystery. Because they haven't rebooted ever, and aren't there issues at like fucking hundreds and hundreds? Journey into Mystery?
No. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm right. Journey
Aren't
into
they
Mystery.
doing a Wonder
No.
Woman 750 in January?
It's just a one-off, though.
Hold on, I'm going to get to the bottom of
So
it.
that's not returning to that numbering.
No. And he says no legacy numbering, no renumbering. Like, I think Uncanny was the last Marvel book that was legitimately on that numbering. correct?
Yeah, that's the one that died. That's where it
because
stopped. Because everything else had been restarted at that point.
They restarted the 90s. They restarted, and they went back to legacy numbering for Amazing. Avengers have been restarted multiple times. I'm pretty sure Uncanny was the last book from Marvel to maintain its original numbering.
So what are you saying about Journey into Mystery?
Journey into Mystery is not a comic book that's exists for like 50 years. There was like a miniseries during
Fear Itself and during War of
but
Realms.
those were
just continuing.
But that was just a miniseries, and that's like a.
Oh, that doesn't count.
No.
It was like legacy numbering.
Yeah, so most of the DC books pre-52.
Always legacy numbering. They didn't change it for this, but okay.
Yeah.
That was a miniseries, so it doesn't count.
Uncanny pre the Bendis relaunch, I think, would have been the longest running, right?
Have I told you my feelings about Bendis' final Uncanny issue? Have I?
Evans wants to know, is Drake the dumbest new superhero name ever?
Huh?
Was Drake. That the... So I got a tweet from somebody that was insensitive content. I got to ask you after the podcast how to change that. Because I have to go into settings.
You can read that?
No, it doesn't show me what the insensitive content is.
Yeah. That's
I have to log in, but I don't know what my login information is.
I have the same problem.
Yeah, my app has just always been logged in.
Tim
I don't know what my password is.
Tim Drake's new code name is Drake.
Oh.
Like the singing dude?
Oh,
like the
that's
bird.
not...
Like his last name, Drake. That is, he's no longer Robin because we have Robin, so
is
he is now
Drake
just
or just the
Drake.
Drake?
Yes.
Don't like it.
The meme works. Correct.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of something different. I was thinking of there was a separate Twitter question that had some insensitive content, but
I don't know what that is.
You do. It was only you and me that were tweeting that.
It's not great.
It was you and me.
I don't have any.
You might have different settings. My question is, how do I change my settings?
That's because he talks.
The actual answer is that I need to have
He'll show you at BJ's. Let's go. Next question.
Oh wait,
he'll show me what?
If you're asking,
no, don't rush this. We're still going to do BJ's. That's still happening.
If you're asking about terrible questions, it's from Atomic General, where he says, "For new listeners, how does Bryce feel about dominating DC talk, plaguing the podcast since his departure?"
Yeah, it's fucking a blight on humanity.
Well, he doesn't feel anything about it because he doesn't listen.
No, that is not true. I listen to every issue, but if new listeners are curious about the blight on humanity that is the ever-present...
I see water coming out of your asshole. It must be raining.
The fucking line!
Yeah.
I keep telling you about the fucking line!
That is a crazy departure over the line. That is not at all what I was talking about.
It's not funny when you go over the line!
When I was talking about the rainy day, that's not at all what I meant. Why you gotta go there? That's so aggressive.
Your copier's working.
Oh, my credit card.
Anyway, fuck, now I'm all fucking...
Final question, and we'll get to this. Hold on.
No, I want to answer. The answer is that what you need to do is you guys need to band together. And you need to get Higgins to fund some sort of, not necessarily monetarily, but I wouldn't say no, way for this to become a Skype every week podcast.
Oh, I just have to bring my board. It's because he doesn't have to write board.
So that there wouldn't be no audio issues.
Yep, easy.
I would represent Marvel appropriately.
Yeah.
Can I turn this into like my platform and my
We'll do some tests for Spricey, man.
And yeah, you would get much less DC. I can't imagine, for new listeners, what the crazy fucking DC bias is on this when I'm not on. You have...
It's pretty bad.
You can't?
No, because it's probably so wild. Okay, yeah, I can. But
Final question.
Okay.
And this is podcast related. It's from Jesus or Jesus. He says, "Will the crew be doing a best of decade comic list?"
What?
So, best of the decade comic list.
Because the decade
ends
ends
in 2019.
All
of us.
my answer was very good.
So, I actually been thinking about this. This is a perfect time to answer this question.
Best of the decade list?
The last year or two,
I read shit.
I feel we have not done a lot of justice to, especially the independent books and our end of year list, because I know my reading is way far back. And
that's a surprise.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Mister, I read comic books in public.
There are some people like Toby, who does not read much anymore, right?
Yeah.
Charlie, who is not working here as much and his reading time has gone way down. He's reading a lot of old stuff, but not a lot of new stuff.
I just buy shit.
Right? I'm caught up on some Marvel books, but not nearly enough to make a good judgment
Only
on
caught up enough to
a
make
lot
fun
of
of
them.
it.
And my independent reading is so far behind. Brock reads very minimal Marvel and only kind of specific indie stuff.
So there's only one handsome person at the table.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Well read.
The last year or two, I felt that our end of year top list.
Wait, that was the end of your list? What about Kevin and me? You didn't give a critique of us.
Well, but you guys, you're fine. You guys read certain stuff. But
oh.
what I'm saying is I feel like we not maybe do our end of year list quite the justice we did early on in this podcast. So I was thinking about actually changing it this year anyway. And instead of breaking it down, Marvel, DC, Independent, doing all this other stuff, blah, 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 we would just have a nice, easy, like the TV show and movie, I think it's a little bit easier because there's so much less of it. I think with the comics, and we've all kind of watched the movies.
There's so much less TV?
Well, there's a lot fewer movies and TV shows than comic books. But I think we've all mostly seen all the things that we're going to watch for the most part. So I still want to do that. For the comics, I actually do want to handle it a little bit differently and just have a nice anything goes, just kind of round robin. We just go around and just talk about our favorite stuff.
So
we're
going to have one whole Bryce briefly for that?
Sure. Okay. Not specifically like in any sort of order, but we are going to do it different. But I do want to do a decade list as well. So we'll probably make that part of the comic where we actually go through. I figure a 10-year time period, I have enough stuff to pull from. The last couple of years has been a little tougher.
You better set a parameter on that. You want like a top 5 of the decade?
Yes.
Exactly a decade?
2010 to 2019. So
for DC, it'd be the stuff just before New 52, New 52, and Rebirth.
Yep.
Okay, so a top 5 of that decade.
I don't even know if top 5, but we'll figure it out as we get closer. Oh, I was thinking like top 3 or something like that.
Like 10 would be too unwieldy.
Yeah.
So you're saying a top 20.
For you, it's a top 3 with 17 honorable mentions.
Bryce, you have to say
for me, it's the top 1.
Bryce, it's a negative top 5.
Negative top. Yeah, all right. Fair enough.
So, that is going to be quite a bit of
homework.
Well, looking back to the last decade of comics, so that's pretty cool.
Well, are we going to do the decade? Well, that opens it up. Or are we going to do the past decade in TV and movies?
No,
because it virtually it spans most of Marvel.
No. We will be fine with the comics. Movie and TV, that would be like 2 whole. That would be like fucking be recorded for like 18 hours.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. That is
not it.
The end of our podcast. We are going to wrap up.
That's the end of a special anniversary episode. That's why it's extra long.
Oh, yeah.
What anniversary is it off?
Exactly. The anniversary of my last sales meeting in November.
That is it. We are going to wrap up now. Thank you to all our backers, including Joe Duff, Sam Che, Andrew Nelson Mendez over at Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast, Craig Anderson at CraigPAnderson.com, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum podcast, that's FOURUM, Forum, and James Laws. Thank you guys all very much for your continued support, of course. You can go to patreon.com/comic conspiracy and kick us $1 or $2 more.
When do we lose the no pants?
Look, people can come and go and do whatever they want.
Disappointed.
That's the wonder of Patreon. No disappointment.
Yeah, why are you throwing shade? He's not listening anymore.
Well, because I don't like to wear my pants.
He's definitely listening. Keep going.
Yeah.
If you would like to find our previous episodes, you can go to comicconspiracypodcast.com. I guarantee you they're nowhere near as long as this one was. Geekbox.net and Apple Podcasts. You can find us on there. Rate and review us. It always helps. If you go to youtube.com/comicsconspiracy, you can find all our episodes on there in a YouTube format if you just want to listen to it while you're surfing the YouTubes. Of course, our physical store, that's comicsconspiracy.biz. That is it's a digital store, but it's for our physical storefront. You can buy all sorts of stuff on there. We have our Undiscovered Country variant covers, regular and virgin covers. There's a special set, $24.99 for both covers. We have a lot of copies left. You can pick that up on the site. And number 1 sold out. We still have copies of both the main and variant cover as well. So if you want all 4, you can pick them up from our store. Go to conspiratobrock.com. That's Brock's blog, video pull list, and unboxing videos. Wanders of the Fourth Dimension podcast. That's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. And Etsy.com. LeanneHale.com. That's my wife, Leanne's website. And you can go to our Etsy store, which is linked from there, which is etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. If you are on Twitter, you can follow me. I am Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock is Brock Sager. Bryce is Larsen Bryce. Toby is Toby XI.
Can we talk about how you as agent is in a blue suit instead of a black suit? It bothers me a lot.
I like what's his face's sock. Kevin is
sock?
Zach. Yeah,
sock?
yeah.
I don't know what either you're talking about.
Yeah, what's his name?
What are you talking about?
What's his sock helmet? What's the sock helmet guy, Kevin? Baron Zemo. Thank you. I love his sock.
Wait, I love Baron Zemo. What
Kevin
about Baron
Sharp
Zemo?
And Bryce.
Yeah.
If you listen to this podcast and you like to hear other things, you can listen to myself on the Geek Box, which I'm on every week.
I'm subscribed to the Geek Box.
Most weeks. And you can also listen to Manga Machinations, which are some good friends of ours who I've been on multiple times. And that is it.
No, it's not. We're going to talk about the Sockman now.
And I'm not going to mention any other podcasts.
Come on, Bryce!
Well, what about
no sock?
What about Kevin's fan base thing?
Oh, Kevin can plug anything he would like at any point on this podcast if he would like to.
Did you just say porn?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
What? No. He
Are we still recording?
And that is it. We are going to wrap up.
Can we talk about the new Sonic trailer?
The new Sonic trailer looks like trash, but he's reading Flash comic books in it. I mean, it still looks terrible, but he looks way better. But
It looks way better. Did our friend have something to do with it?
He's reading Flash comic books in it, so I'm now legally obligated to go see this movie.
Well, absolutely.
Is it true or false? It's legally connected to the DCU.
Yes, now 100%. Sonic is in the DC universe.
Is Jim Carrey stronger or weaker than Darkseid?
Dr. Robotnik, man. Or Eggman for us old schools.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you for respecting.
No, I'm pretty sure Darkseid's a little bit more strong.
I want everyone to know that, The Mandalorian's awesome.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm going to watch it very soon.
How long ago did you turn it off?
Nah,
we're
still
recording.
Going.
What's our timestamp at?
Still going.
Who is stronger, He-Man or Gray Skull? What's his name? Skeletor. What's his name?
Rick, your Gray Skull.
What's his name? Eldor or He-Man? Who's stronger?
Ask Toby.
I actually don't know.
Eldor looks like the wizard in Breath of the Wild that you meet at the very beginning.
Dude, can we talk about Breath of the Wild? I still have not finished that game. It's been years.
Leanne,
I haven't started yet.
Into it.
Has she finished it?
Yeah.
I started 5 minutes on the new one though.
I'm Leanne status. Hashtag Leanne status.